All right. I believe we are live. Let me check my levels here. All right, my microphone is coming through. What's going on, everybody? How is it? How are you doing on this wonderful Saturday afternoon? We are live here with the good, the mad, the ugly on all of the Bounding into Comics channels, on Kick, on YouTube, on Twitch. I think I got to relink like the Facebook, but it'll be up there soon too. And of course, we are broadcasting over on my channel. If you're new here, guys, I want to welcome you. How are you all doing? If you guys saw earlier this week, I've been posting on the various Bounding social media accounts. We are in the midst of revamping our entire streaming schedule. So for the last, well, I've been at Bounding for 7 years now. So for at least 7, I think the site's only like 8 years old. We've been having like the same streaming schedule, right? It's just been Monday nights, we have a live stream. Maybe one of us pops on, Tuesday or Thursday if we see something crazy, or if there's a live show we're watching. God, I don't think Bounding's done like a live watch of anything since Mando season 1. Like that's how bad kind of everything has gotten, right? But that aside, yeah, we've been doing, Black Pill Stream, 01, Bounding Live, whichever show it happens to be, for almost a decade now. We thought it'd be fun to switch it up for both our sakes, because, got to break up that monotony in life, but also because you guys deserve better, right? Especially from my end, I wanted to go live a little bit more with you guys to make things better, to remind you all that things can get better, that they can be better, right? Don't get me wrong. If you know Bounding into Comics, you know that we trade in criticizing and holding all these companies and actors and what have you, holding their feet to the fire. But holding your people's feet to the fire does not mean we have to be intellectually dishonest. It does not mean we need to be just outright dicks. It does not mean that I have to lie to you, the reader, just to get clicks. I want to respect you guys just as much as you want to be respected. So with that sort of, mission statement in mind, that is what the Good Mab Ugly is here for. Weekly, every Saturday afternoon at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we will be going live on all the Bounding channels and, of course, my channel for this little show right here, which is, it's meant to sort of a casual hangout. We spend the entire week mired in shit, in muck. We see all the things that are happening to our favorite franchises, to our governments, everything, right? But there's still good in the world. There's still reason to get out of bed. And if we forget that, what's the point of any of this, right? So with that in mind, format of the show, I have some topics I can bring up, that are in the back pocket, but mainly I want to talk to you guys. So if there's anything you guys, have been curious about, if there's anything you're upset about or happy about, or you're currently playing, currently reading, any of that fun stuff, let me know. You're in the driver's seat of the show, if you will. All right. Aside from that, guys, obviously with this being a new format, if you're a longtime Good Mab Ugly viewer, you've probably noticed that I've made some slight adjustments to our regular layout. With that in mind, bear with me in case there are any sort of technical problems. I was working on the layout, or on this new setup, pretty much up until we went live. That's why I had to push the time back from 12:15 to 12:30, because I straight up just did not have I was 12:15. I was still finishing like 1 or 2 Stream Deck button cues, right? So forgive me if anything breaks. Forgive me if anything works a little wonky. I'll be fixing it as we go along. But that aside, I want to get into it. But first, there's got to be like a setting in StreamYard to take like my name off of it, right? Because if my StreamYard name is up here, then I'm going to be blocking you guys the entire time. And I don't necessarily. There we go. I think I got it. Oh, look at that. 1 on StreamYard. All right. Yeah, that's another big thing, guys. Longtime GM, viewers know this, but we are actually broadcasting via StreamYard right now, which is a complete change. Normally, I host GMU and Foil Variant and all of that stuff. I host that through OBS on my own computer. So there's a lot of, what do you call it? Like moving parts, things we've got to connect to make sure everything actually works. I mean, shout out to my boy, Andrew Rodriguez of the Rippaverse, Caffeinated Wolf. He is in the chat right now. Really good friend of mine, co-host of mine over on Foil Variant, an intellectually honest podcast about comic books that he and I host every Thursday night. But on that note, he absolutely knows. He's seen how the sausage is made. So he knows that normally, like, you know, we got to go to like Video Ninja to get his camera. And then I got to go over here to get the chats working. And it gets all complicated. But we've got a snazzy new system. And I'm pretty excited to roll with it. Let's see. Oh, that makes me happy to hear. I can hear you just fine. And yes, I definitely got that on the first try. Look at that. Look at I'm all of a sudden having great streaming luck. The boomer curse is not around. What is up? We have Punk in the house. How are you doing, my friend? You read any comic books this week? Because obviously, if you guys caught the thumbnail, we have on deck the topics that I have ready for us to talk about. Obviously, DC released their entry into the Marvel DC crossover. Marvel published Deadpool Batman earlier this year. We got Batman Deadpool this week. It's so like it's rough, right? We'll probably talk about just the general crossover and what they all did, blah blah blah, the whole shebang. There's also been an update on the live action Mobile Suit Gundam movie, which this update, guys, like, I love it so very, very much because a person's given reaction to this Gundam update will tell you whether they're full of shit and a disingenuous, rage baiter, or if they actually know what they're talking about, or at the very least are a genuine fan looking to, maybe they don't know all of Gundam yet and they're getting into it, but they're coming into it with a very much that mindset of, I'm here to learn, right? So that's something I probably want to break down for you guys. And then if time permits, we normally run for about 2.5 hours here on this show. I kind of just got to laugh, guys. Actually, we'll probably start that off at the top. I'll stick with that at the top because that's a fun little thing to just get into. But before we get into any of this, Punk says, looking forward to Marvel's winter-themed one-shot special coming out next month. I saw you. Punk is in my whoa, that was a really bad voice crack. I know I look baby-faced. I know, guys, but I swear to you, I am a grown man. But I saw you post about this in the Kabuto Studios Discord, my personal Discord. You can find the links to all of that stuff, as well as all of the Bounding into Comic socials down below in the description. But you brought this up, and clarify this for me, because I'm not sure, Punk. They just did the Spider-Man winter holiday special, and it came out this week. And I'm not sure if they're doing one or more. I know that comic book companies can typically do a bunch of holiday specials. It's not out of the ordinary. I'm just out of the loop on that. Generally, it takes a lot for me to buy one of the holiday specials from any publisher, right? Because, all right, if you give it a great cover, I'm in. We're not even going to worry about that, right? You throw on Giru Hiru, you put on Peace Momoko, Marco Cicchetto, you put on Alexander Lozano, who I love Alexander Lozano's work, guys. I'll show you more of it when we get to the actual Batman Deadpool. But man, his style is it's so adorable. It's so cute. But yeah, most of these specials tend to be just sort of like they're fun little digest, right? Where it's like, oh, do you want to see the thing in a little, short adventure? Here you go. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? If you like it, you like it. Obviously, there's an audience for it, or they wouldn't keep, making them. I personally just go, meh, blah, unless it's somebody, J. Michael Straczynski is coming back to write a Spider-Man special in the Marvel Valentine's Day special. Then I might get my interest piqued. But if it's generally just a non-consequential thing, I tend to pass on it because I've got 700 other things that I've got actual canon that I need to, take care of. But to that end, I will say I've been really impressed with DC lately for really leaning into these kind of romancy, like not romance, but like they've done a bunch of specials lately that are lighthearted anthologies that are really just, you know, for fun. Like there was the DC's Summer of Kal-El or whatever, right? Like it had some title like that. And then there was, oh my god, like why am I, this is really bad. Here, I'm just gonna look it up. DC Summer Special Kal-El. California Love. That's what it was. California Love. Like How to Dump a Lex in 10 days or something. Like they're making a bunch more of these. And again, not really for me, but I enjoy that they're, you know, having fun with their IP, that they are offering a selection that's more casual for those readers, right? Because again, guys, one of the biggest issues with the comic book industry, if not the biggest, is just literally that there's no way to reach people. We are like comic book creators, publishers, all of that. It doesn't reach people because there's just no distribution outlet, right? So anything that can pull people in and say, you know, get into a comic book shop, I am all for it. Like I am not even kidding. If you guys have caught Foil Variant over the, you know, the year or so we've actually been running it. Yeah, we passed our year anniversary like a couple of weeks ago. But I've seen so many people over this year come in and go, hey, I've heard a new Batman series is great. And the guy goes, oh, you're looking for Absolute Batman. And the guy goes and takes off like, you know, all 7 issues that are on the wall, even if they're reprints. He doesn't care. He just wants to read them. And that kind of stuff, like really, really like makes me go, it might not be for me, but it's helping the industry in general. And as long as they're not going like, oh, this is our permanent format where from now on, we're only going to do weird Lex in the City. That's what it was. That's why I laughed at it. But if this is our standard now, that's where I would go, oh man, we are going back into the DCU era. And that's not a necessarily good era. But since they don't, and they kind of just let it be out there and it's their own thing, I always enjoy looking at them. Or like I enjoy seeing that they exist. Sort of like the Poison Ivy series, right? I don't know if you guys know this. Poison Ivy, right? Pamela Isley, she's currently she's been headlining her own title that is currently at issue 38. Poison Ivy, of all people, has a solo series that has run for 48 or for 38 issues, and it is nowhere on the chopping block. Like trust me, guys, this thing has survived Rebirth. It survived coming out of whatchamacallit, like Doomsday Clock. It survived Metal. Like it's crazy how much this book survives. I've only read 1 issue because here, let me see if I can actually grab it out of this little closet here. Look at that. Support the things you love, guys. Always remember that. You don't, for those who aren't aware, I have a Pakistani friend, if you will, spelled P. You know, I'm just going to type out his name in the chat because I do understand that it is a little weird to hear where his nationality is from. But I always get most of my comics from my Pakistani friend. However, when there are things that I know are like, this is something I want to support, whether it is a cool variant cover, a series, or even just like a writer, right? What was it that we just picked up this week? Brand new series coming out here out of Image. Final Boss. This is the Ken Marion cover. Love Ken Marion, one of my favorite currently working artists. He's one of those guys who's really able to do anime style. Like he understands anime and Western comics to the point where he's able to blend. Like he knows how to do a Westernized anime style, if you will. But Final Boss, I don't normally just pick up anything out of Image, but it's Tyler Kirkham, so I went, you know what? I'll support my boy, and it's Ken. So I was like, okay, I'll definitely give Ken that cover credit. But yeah, so I bought this cover of Poison Ivy. It is incredible. I wish there's really no good way to like show it off without my lights, reflecting off of it. But yeah, I picked up this cover just because it was beautiful. I told Andrew, right? I went, dude, am I picking up a Poison Ivy? And he went, I think we might be, because he also liked the cover too. We got into reading it, or like I popped open that one issue and I went, oh shit, Andrew. And I shared some pages with him and I went, is this actually not bad? Like, don't get us wrong. We looked at one issue in the middle of a run, in the middle of a story. We don't know. We can't speak to the rest of the book. But from what we got there, it was really surprising how like actually well written it was. Right? I think it's one of those things where it's slipping under the radar, where us, us big comic fans, we're not really going to pay any attention to it because it's Poison Ivy, which is, we like her. I don't know if anybody was really clamoring for a solo series. However, at least from the little bits we saw, it was surprisingly intriguing. Once I make it through all the things I have to read still, right? I mean, I've got billions of new books and manga, and of course and what do I do? Of course, I just spend all of my time rereading Dark Knight's Metal. That's what I'm doing right now because I have my priorities completely not aligned. You know what I mean? Let's see. We have Hibiki Gamer Vlogs. What is up? This is awesome. I know Hibiki is a regular viewer of the 01 stream with Nerdigans and Cider, and formerly me until I just got too busy, which, yeah. Oh, let me just address that really quick, Hibiki, before I talk about that. I know a lot of people, I've gotten, DMs, I've gotten emails, I've seen comments here and there asking what is going on? Why hasn't Spencer been on 01? Is the site failing? Is he abandoning it? Blah, blah, blah. And here, now that I'm actually on the Bounding Into Comics channel, I'll let you guys all know the reason I stepped back from the 01 show had nothing to do with the site's success. We are doing exceptionally well. We are doing ever better pretty much every month ever since I took over as editor-in-chief. It's not that I hate Cider and Nerdigans. I absolutely love those two to death. I highly recommend you guys tune in Monday nights for the new show, Weekly Weeb News, where Nerdigans, she is the lead anchor. She is the main solo host for that show. Cider's around to produce it. But that show, that's good. We're going to let Nerdigans fly her weeb flag, right? Like, we all know Nerdigans, just she knows it all. So we're going to let her fly on that one. But yeah, I stepped away from 01 for a little bit only because we got super busy around here, right? I went from having, an hour or three to spare on a Monday to, I've got meetings, I've got to coordinate stuff, I've got to, do some graphic designs. It's all good. But yeah, I just got busy. Didn't mean I didn't love you guys. I'm sure you guys all saw me in the chat. I tried to show up as often as I could. But hey, at least I'm happy now that I get to see you guys on a regular basis. All right, back to Hibiki. Hibiki says, comic books are never the same anymore. You're not wrong, right? Like, I've been thinking about this a lot lately because shout out to, if you guys enjoy comic books and you guys enjoy, watching creators and content in our general, bounding sphere, you've probably seen at some point a user by the name of Clone Geek. Clone Geek is a very, very diehard comic book reader. He's also a surprisingly young reader, but he's also a regular viewer of both this show when it was on my channel and Foil Variant. And he regularly brings up, one of his big criticisms is comics these days just aren't the same. Like they're just not as good as the past. And they obviously, I don't agree wholly with that statement. There's always going to be good. There's always going to be bad. Obviously, we're going to talk about some of the good, some of the bad in terms of comics in just a second. But there has been a significant shift in sort of what comic books are aimed for, right? I'd say up until the Marvel Now era, right? The era 2013, 2014, when Marvel was like, all right, this MCU thing is really kicking off. Oh, we really want to do cross synergy. Oh, we can get people on our streaming services and all of that. That was like the super age of ultra commodified comic books, if you will, right? where instead of people working on comic books because they genuinely wanted to make comic books, because they cared about the medium and they liked telling, using images and text bubbles and all that stuff to tell these stories, they were second fiddle to people who thought who had TV aspirations, and they wanted to elevate this material for wider audiences, right? Like, and it was only okay because Marvel, Disney, Warner, whomever you want to think about, went, I'd like some of that money. Oh, what's that? Like Avengers made $400 billion and could probably like fund its own nation. Yeah, I want me a little piece of that. With that, and then there was this period around then. We're more out of that period now than the other one, but there was a period where the publishers and all the companies went, well, fans really do love this stuff. Let's let the fans be the authority, right? And they sort of went, if you like this stuff, we're going to let you, oh, you're a fan artist, you're a Tumblr blogger, you're a popular tweet or Twitter account. Why don't you guys come and write a comic book for us? You're clearly passionate about it. People, you have an audience. We'd love to do that. Unfortunately, a lot of these people don't understand exactly how to execute the medium. I'm not dismissing that they like it. Of course they like it. Otherwise they wouldn't have, YouTube channels or whatever. But there's a big disconnect between, criticizing something and understanding how to criticize something and making it. Like there's just such a significant gap. So as a result of that era, we went through this period where people were being handed characters that they didn't really care about understanding or shepherding, and they really just wanted to write a fan fiction. So everything felt weird and way more slice of lifey, if you will. And then the hyper commodification of everything kind of takes the wind out of every sail in terms of character introductions or storylines or anything like that, right? Andrew and I regularly joke about this, but the current Amazing Spider-Man run has the current big plot point is Peter Parker is off planet. He got, his ass kicked literally across the galaxy. In his place, trying to, keep the spider going while he's away, is Norman Osborn. Andrew and I have actually been surprised by how intriguing this story is on its own. Like, it's actually kind of a breath of fresh air after Zeb Wells's atrocities. But we both go, both of us admit all the time, like, it's really hard for us to kind of really throw our weight behind this, because we just know eventually Norman Osborn has to go back to being Green Goblin, because that's what the public knows him as. And Marvel is too chicken shit to jeopardize one of their big sellers. You know what I mean? Which is so insane if you think about it, because think of all the different designs they give every character. Look at the fact that like Miles Morales and Peter Parker are both equally like visually distinct Spider-Man, and everybody knows like, oh, that's Peter, that's Miles. Like, it's not that absurd of a notion. But all of that combined left us with a landscape that was pretty bleak. I'd say over the last 2-3 years, a little bit before the Ultimate Universe rebooted, we started a recovery and things are getting better. Like I'm actually buying comic books again, guys. That's what's absolutely insane. And some of them are really good. Like, I like reading them, but those are unfortunately really few and far between, right? A lot of writers don't understand the medium, and we all suffer for it. And trust me, we're going to get into that a little bit more. Andrew says, I've read Ultimates, X-Men of Apocalypse #1, and ASM 16 so far. Well, what good does that do me now? I want to talk to you about like 2 of those books. It's not foil variant time, but I'm glad you're making it through. I'm glad you at least hit those 2 books, because there's some interesting things in there. Guys, Ultimates is coming down the barrel. It's almost time for, well, technically, if you read Ultimates, the Maker's back, baby. The Maker's Dome has opened. So let's see if Hickman, Brian Hill, Peach Momoko, and Dennis Camp can really lock this down on the finish line. Like, I really hope they can land this. Andrew says, I saw that Gundam bit and laughed at some people's reactions. Dude, I saw the news come out late last night, and I immediately was like, I have to write about this. And there is an article up about the Gundam news. We'll get into it, but if you don't got the time or you want to reference it or whatever, check out boundingintocomics.com. You know where you are. Just checking some messages that I received. All right, let's see. Before we get there, Andrew says, first Dark Knight's Metal event is based. Rereading it is even more based. It makes me really sad because it almost feels like this should be the end of the DC. Or how do I put this? Everything up to Doomsday Clock, right? Feels like that's the end of DC in a good way. Like that whole ending bit where Dr. Manhattan restarts, the Omniverse, and we keep seeing just like different iterations of it is 2048, a baby lands in a field in California. It is 2100, a baby lands in an abandoned like mining vessel out near like Alpha Centauri. Doing things like that, kind of allowing the reader to sort of assume and presume and kind of come to their own conclusion that the adventures do keep going until whenever. That always felt like perfect to me. But now we're doing things like fucking DCKO and then we had Dark Knight's Death Metal, and it's just like, you guys need to scale better because you guys are throwing way too many big things. DC in particular has thrown out so many big concepts in terms of events that the World Forger, who was introduced like almost a decade ago, and he was supposed to be, Perpetua or whatever, the big bad villain of the universe. She birthed 3 sons, and it was the Monitor, the Anti-Monitor, and the World Forger. And he was so strong that the World Forger's entire job is he's like, what is that Greek god? Hephaestus? No, I'm totally blanking on it, but you all know who I'm talking about, the giant blacksmither. He basically, hammers out universes. He's so strong that he can take the big bang energy of creation and just like make new universes. We're 10 years out, and the World Forger is just a dude now who hangs out on the Justice League. Like, he's not an omniversal concept, you know what I mean? Like, he's just another super powerful Justice League ally. That really is like, okay. And again, I understand the nature of comic books, that they will go on in perpetuity because that's the nature of them. That's just how the Western industry evolved. I still think you can put guardrails on there, right? Because otherwise we're going to get to a point where Marvel does an event that's like, oops, everyone is Captain Universe. And then, all right, where do we go from here? I'm not entirely sure. Absolutely. Zeb Wells and Nick Lowe have committed crimes against humanity. The Zeb Wells thing is so funny because, as we'll get into with the Batman Deadpool book, so Zeb Wells was tapped by Marvel to write their main Deadpool Batman story, and it was fine. It was like, okay, this is kind of what you would expect from a big crossover that's sort of just trying to appeal to the most people. It was fine. Yeah, it was whatever. My hate for Zeb Wells and what he did to Spidey and Ben Reilly and everything aside. But then DC went and they got Grant Morrison, who admittedly I'm a bit biased because that's my favorite comic book author, period. But like, that's not just coughing baby versus a hydrogen bomb. That's like dying fly that you've already swatted against hydrogen bomb. And I feel almost like bad for Zeb Wells, as we'll see. Like, it's particularly nuts. Andrew says Metal was fun. Like, we're just reading zany shit and having a great time. It really is kind of just super off the wall in a really, really fun way. But I think once they tried to, I think it was keeping the, what's his name? Like the Batman Who Laughs. I really liked him as a villain in that initial Metals era, but then keeping him around and like taking the mystique out of it and putting more rules as to how the Dark Knights and the Dark Multiverse is formed. It's just kind of, again, you read Metal and you're like, oh, this is a great event. But then you read, like, you go, oh, this is what you guys tried to build off of it. I don't know if I'm about that in particular. I really don't know about that. All right, let's see. My camera is doing its stupid thing. Let's see. Readjust. I'm gonna wipe it down real quick. Maybe that'll help. Whoa! Send a rescue crew. I don't know what's going on. Whoa! All right. Put the anti-NSA cover back on the front. Ready. And survey says, you still hate me. All right. I have no idea how. Maybe do I need more lighting? Look at that. That helped. All right. Let's see. Going to turn on my air conditioning really quick because it is absolutely hot in Arizona, and especially when you're in a tiny room recording you're being animated for a recording, of course. All right. Let's see. Andrew says Dark Knight's Metal was Scott Snyder within the right sandbox, while Death Metal was removing the reins and we lost control. That's actually the best way to put it, really, is that like it's like the chooser's dilemma, right? Or the whole concept of if you're free to do whatever you want, if you're free to do something, like you can create, that's great. But sometimes, guides and limits really help keep your own personal, like, creative energies prioritized and straight. And it can lead to really good things, right? Like, oh, we only have a limited amount of, cartridge space for this video game. Well, we're going to get really creative with this trick and we're going to do this, blah, blah, blah. Boom. And now you have something like Pokemon, right? But it's a very fine line that you need between, like, you can do whatever you want and here are some guardrails you need. Because you look at Metal, and the whole event is we're going, a little crazy. Look at this. We have different evil Batmen. We have, the Dark Multiverse erupting into the main multiverse. And it's like, wow, this is kind of going really nuts. We're really, going to 11. And then you get to Death Metal, and it's more just like, how can we be way more zany, right? Like, how can we be really metal? And it's like, wrong approach, guys. If you're going for something like this and your only like artistic intention is how do I top or build as much or more excitement for this event as the last one, you're probably not going to land on anything because you didn't start this with a story to tell. You're kind of looking for the story you want to tell. Unrelated, Tomb Raider 2013 Definitive Edition runs great on Switch 2. Having fun casually playing one of my favorite games. Hey, super happy for you. I've never played any of those. Well, I think I played a little bit of that first one of the Tomb Raider reboot games. But as like this, Andrew, and I'm sure anybody who's caught me either on the website or on any of our streams, yada yada. I'm not a big fan of that era of like walk and talk and really on rails sort of amusement park games. If you like them, you like them. Again, it's personal taste, right? We're not talking about is the game objectively good or bad? Was it a working piece of hardware or software or not? This is not up my alley. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. I probably won't be picking it up. I'm surprised. I am surprised it did get a Switch 2 port though, just because it's like, why not do like the whole collection? Why are we only doing one? I don't know. It feels really, really weird. But that is the Switch 2 for you, right? Like that is just a weird console. All right, so let me pull up that little thing I want to talk about really quick, just to kick off our mainline discussions, right? I have no idea what you like, the chunk of our show, the core of our show, whatever, however you want to refer to it as. Let's see. Got to pull it up. Okay, so this is just a little quick thing that I wanted to talk about somewhere because I'm not exactly baffled, but I do feel a little bit sad and a little bummed, but it's also one of those like, I absolutely understand it, right? Let me just make sure that if I jump over, it's going to jump over to the right window because I don't want that window. I want bada bing, bada boom, and go to the stream deck. We will click Firefox and hopefully, oh man, did it not? Oh, it's because I have that up. There we go. Firefox. Thank you. I knew that could work. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. So obviously, if you guys know me, or you could probably just have taken a really easy guess if you even barely know. If you read my bio on Bounding into Comics, which is all of 30 words, you probably would have picked up that duh, I love trading card games, and B, of course I would have been excited, or of course I was stoked to see Spider-Man come to Magic. Now, I'll make this clear at the very top. In terms of Universes Beyond, I like them. I do like them to a certain extent, but I also understand I'm not like the old school, really entrenched Magic player. So I'm never gonna think that oh, I can speak for everybody or I have more of an authority. No. That's not how these things work. I recognize I like them. I recognize why everybody else or why a lot of people don't. And to be honest, guys, it makes a lot of sense when it was a little better before the last 3 months. But once you're adding The Office and fucking Star Trek and these don't feel super magic-y anymore, right? Things like Lord of the Rings, that obviously makes sense. Even something like Warhammer, that made sense too. Future fantasy, tabletop thing. Doctor Who even made sense to a certain extent because that's time travel, dimension-y, lots of time magic, sort of, science magics things. And then Marvel was probably the one to me that was Walking Dead is the iffiest one for me. But in terms of the Marvel ones made sense to me. It only in the sense of nerdery. What do nerds like? Comic books, Dungeons and Dragons, fantasy. Oh, we've had lots of fantasy styled comic book things. I built, guys, a Captain America deck with just a bunch of different things, and I named it Covenant of the Shield, right? Because if you guys remember, there was a 1990s miniseries or miniseries / storyline in the main Avengers book where the Avengers got warped into yay merry old England. So I was see, that kind of works. And besides, we still have people who use swords and all that sort of stuff, right? Magic or wow, how am I blanking on people that use battle swords like that? What the fuck? I know there's more of them. I can see them in my head. That one Shi'ar Phoenix dude. I don't. What's his name? Rook, right? I think he has one of those kind of swords. But I digress. That to me is where it kind of worked. Once I saw, as we start moving away from, next year kind of sucks too. And I say this as somebody who, likes these crossovers. Next year we're getting 7 sets, which I already have a big issue with the release schedule that Wizards does, because by the numbers, without getting too into the nitty gritty, we basically, us Magic players, we basically get a month maybe to enjoy whatever new set is coming out. And even that, because new set comes out, then it's time to preview the next one because we've got to release 6 in 1 year. It's a lot. I'm not a fan of it because I feel like it just, oh, cool, look, I assembled a deck out of all these new Spider-Man cards. Well, now it doesn't matter anymore because, oh, here's the Avatar set, here's yada, 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 yada. But with next year having 7 releases and most of them, 4 out of the 7 being specifically crossover sets, we have Turtles, Teenage Ninja Turtles, Marvel, Star Trek, and The Hobbit. It just feels like, okay, are we gonna remember that like Magic exists and like try and do stuff with that? Because even as somebody who does not particularly like high fantasy, my 2 exceptions are Zelda and Lord of the Rings. I like Magic setting. It clicked with me, maybe because it's just that extra element of fantastical. But I digress. That's all of where I come from as a Magic player. That is to say, when Spider-Man was coming out, surprisingly, guys, I was not stoked on it. I saw the previews and I was like, this doesn't seem like it's going to be that fun of a set, or like that. I didn't have the enthusiasm. And then it came out and I went, oh, never mind. I get to play like with Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider. You're absolutely right. I'm going to, like this set. And yes, guys, I know that this card is only worth like $150 in foil, which it is. And I put it in like the super hardcore case. But you know what? That's what Ben gets around these parts. Ben gets respect around here. But as soon as the set after the set came out, I sat with it for, a couple weeks. And me and a bunch of my friends, we all just went, fuck, set sucks. It just, there's a lot of things it misses, right? In terms of design, it's really weird to see like, oh, I'm fighting from New York. I'm playing the Empire State University building as my land. I'm playing a hot dog cart as a piece of equipment. Like it doesn't feel fantastical enough anymore. It feels too, I don't know, goofy, silly. I'm not sure what the right word I'm looking for is right there, but I think you guys kind of know what I'm getting at. And then probably for me, the biggest issue was they didn't line things up correctly in terms of like colors and sets and stuff. So like the example I always raise, because surprise, it's got Ben. I wanted to make a Clone Saga deck. I went, sick. Ben's coming out in the set. Oh, so is a Jackal card and a bunch of Peter cards and even a fucking Kane card. I've got it all here. Like, I'm ready to go. All of those cards, like, to run all of them in a deck, you have to run a 5-color commander, which is just, and the only 5-color commander from this set is a Captain Universe Spider-Man, which is cool. Like, I love Captain Universe Spidey, but it's not thematic. And also that leader is just like, that commander is just busted because on your turn, any spider you have gets like flying, double strike. Like, it just makes them nasty. But yeah, I'm of the opinion, most people are of the opinion that the set was just kind of a miss. And trust me, it hurts me to say that as like a giant spider dork. But facts don't care about your feelings, if you would. So I just wanted to point this out because, this set hasn't been really well received. It hasn't really been moving the needle. I remember when the pre-release events were going up, of course I went to them, but there were so many game stores that were posting like, nobody showed up today. Nobody came for Spider-Man. Everybody was here for Final Fantasy. Everybody here was here for Aether Drift and Edge of Eternities, but nobody is here for Spider-Man. Like, it was bad. So my friends and I have this joke among us where we keep sending each other links to Spider-Man Magic products because they've been really sinking in price. And, we send it and we go, look, a booster box has gone from 200 to 150. These cards are unwanted. Like, nobody wants these. Good God. And it kind of, this to me was just sort of nail in the coffin moment where I think we're looking at Spider-Man being the historically worst received or selling set possibly in all of Magic history, or at least in like a decade probably. Wow, that was a really bad vocal fry uptick from my little California boy ass. That was really bad. But if you guys are lucky enough to live near one, there is a chain of stores in the United States called Micro Center. They are basically like specialty dedicated stores for PC equipment, hardware, general technology, and that sort of stuff, right? If you go in, for example, if you go into a Best Buy and you're like, I want to look at your RAM and your graphics cards and your parts, they've got like the 2 locked cases and maybe some shelves next to them. Micro Center, they go, oh, what kind of parts are you looking? Are you looking for like sound cards, blah blah blah? And they've got like entire like areas. Like it's kind of like it's a dream. I actually love being in there. They just opened one out here in Phoenix, Arizona, which I love because I haven't been able to go to one since I lived out in Chicago, and I might have to stop by for some of these, but this isn't even part of like Black Friday or anything. But as of yesterday, Micro Center put up a bunch of Spider-Man product, like Spider-Man Magic product, and no, like these prices are fucking like, guys, a $90 gift bundle dropping by $30 to $60, like that's kind of fucking bonkers. This is crazy. A booster box, like a pack of gosh, how many? I think it's like 30 booster packs, right? How many boosters in a booster box? 36. Okay, I always lowball it, but we're looking at 36 total like booster packs for fucking $80. That is absolute like, wow. This clearly shows to me you need to like move that inventory. Nobody is buying it. Like, it is shocking. And yeah, there's no argument to be had here. I have no predictions. I don't know if this says anything about the future. I mean, it might spell trouble for the Marvel superhero set, but they have a chance now to, you know, get around it and what have you. Get around it. That's not what I was trying to say. Learn from their mistakes and go, okay, we know this is what failed with the Spider-Man set, or this is what was lacking with the Spider-Man set. Well, we have a Marvel set coming, so now we can, you know, add 1 or 2 cards to make this work, or yada, yada, yada. But I just wanted to bring it up because holy crap, like that's really, really bad. Kenny Powers, what's going on? He says, hi, Spencer. I don't collect or play TCG, but used to do the Star Wars Decipher cards back in the 90s. Oh, man. The Star Wars Decipher card. I haven't thought about those in forever. I never personally like bought the cards or had them, but in the 90s, I actually lived in San Diego, and in San Diego, there was an actual physical Wizards of the Coast like flagship store. And it used to, nowadays we've probably all seen like there are like gaming lounges and stuff, right? Where you go and you can like bunch of chairs, bunch of tables, bunch of product to buy. Maybe there's like some video game setups in the back. That was like the Wizard store was like that before it really, really took off. And so I used to go play Pokemon there, both the Pokemon like official trading card game league, and then the Dragon Ball Z. Who made that? Was it Topps at the time? Or no? Might have it's one of them, but I played both of those old games. And then at the store in between games, there was always like 4 or 5 guys who were always playing Decipher. And as someone who loved Star Wars at the time, still loves all that Star Wars stuff, just hates where it is now. Like, I was super obsessed. So I remember playing that a lot back like in the 90s. Have not heard that name in forever. Way to blow my mind. Have you seen there is a new Star Wars game? And I'm not saying like you should play this. I have an anecdote that I'm bringing up. But like there is a new Star Wars trading card game that they're making. I think it's called like Star Wars Galactic or something. It's somehow hanging on. Like it's been around for like a year or two. I've seen one game, 2 people ever playing it in real life, right? And I don't know who plays it. I don't know how this game is still surviving. Kenny also says there's way too much of this crap being made. Same with Fanatics and trading cards in general. You are preaching to the choir here. I'm not sure if you heard me a couple minutes ago, but that's one of my big complaints with Wizards right now and Magic is that they release a new set every 2 months, which means, okay, I gotta pay out for that, and then I gotta pay out for the next set, and the next set, and the next set, and God forbid, like, you miss any of the cards you really, really want, and then you have to go like buy them third party, right? And where the prices just explode even more. It's really bad. I think it's part of, remember video games, right? In terms of video games, when the pandemic was around and coming off of it, they were riding high, right? Obviously, people were inside, spent a lot more money on video games, got into video games. Everybody went out and invested. Oh, we're going to make 700 live service games. We're going to make 90 gacha mobile titles. And then that all disappeared. And it all like evaporated because that market wasn't like viable. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's great to be able to spend extra income on that kind of stuff. But especially in America, we don't really have it right now. Just all of the policies left and right that we currently exist under have screwed us. And we don't have a lot of that money. So anytime money becomes tight again, or anytime something happens like tariffs or inflation or whatever, it's going to significantly cut into the people who are spending on this stuff. Now, some card games like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, probably One Piece, those are like bigger games can survive regardless because they're going to have that dedicated pool of like players who are always going to be willing to spend money on whatever like nerdery they want. Unironically, guys, like this is not financial advice, but it's not, if you have a bunch of like collectibles or trading cards or comic books, like it's kind of not, obviously there are more mature and recommended and insured ways you can like save your money and retain value of your assets. But collectibles are one of those things that their value rises with inflation, right? Like nobody's ever going to go, oh, Amazing Spider-Man 1. Well, you were selling that for, $5,000 last week, but now it's 6,000. I'm not doing, like, they're going to go, oh, 6,000. I'm in for that. And you're going to be fine. But I definitely think there's got to be a cliff we've got to hit some point soon where, if not a total reduction in the amount of cards being made, like even with baseball cards, there's way too many of them. What am I trying to say? Like there's, I don't even know. Like, yeah, at some point, I'm not saying everybody, like all these companies are going to disappear. These games are going to end, but like, I feel like we've got to scale things back to an extent. Otherwise, I can't keep up with 7 freaking like Magic sets a year. Are you kidding me? And I also play One Piece. I also play the Bandai Ultraman game. I play the Bandai Godzilla game. Like, it's hard to keep up with those when you have to constantly be like looking at updates for one particular game. Yeah, there you go, Kenny. Thank you. Yeah, Star Wars Unlimited. That's what it is. Nothing more to add to that. I just could not remember the name. Kenny says, I remember seeing MPG and Pokemon and not being interested. I opened a couple total back then. Have the promo cards through from Scry, the oversized Black Lotus. Dude, that's really, really cool. Even if, again, because like you're not like, I could have had more. I should have got into it back then, because you're not like an MPG player per se. You're like, hey, this is a neat thing that I got. And it becomes even neater when everybody goes, oh shit, that neat thing you got is actually like the most valuable thing you could have possibly gotten. Yeah, game market was wild, especially for the graded ones. Some have crashed hard. Oh, dude, the market is really, really bad right now, right? Like this is just like a microcosm of what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at general product here. Let me pull up an example of like a card that people really want and is still like dying in terms of prices. Okay, so in that Spider-Man set, the bonus sheet, which is like the extra cards you could collect, were comic book art reprints of certain Magic cards with, as I kind of just gave away, panels and covers and artwork that were originally drawn for Marvel Comics as opposed to the game itself. This one, obviously, Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. This motherfucker has been in super demand because Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man. Look at this chart for just 3 months, because the set came out in the middle of September. It started at $46, and it's already at barely, like, it's not even selling at $21.54 anymore. Like, that's just what it's listed at. And again, this is like a collectible card. This is one that people would want. It actually has play value. That to me signals like, ooh, this could be really bad. Because you know what, guys? It only takes one break. It only takes a person skipping one episode, one movie, one issue to go, I'll get to it. Like, I got to save money this week and I can't go buy the new Amazing Spider-Man. And the next one comes out and you go, I'll get to it. Like, I know I've got to get back to it. And then you probably won't for a long, long, long time. Right. And so it's just, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but yeah, it's really rough out there for the card market. Hey, check that out. We have Emily. Always a pleasure to see you, Emily. Regular viewer, not only here, but she pops up on Foil Variant from time to time. And I've seen her like once or twice over on my show. Love to have you every time. Hibiki says, I love comic books, but I stopped reading them because of the woke. I mean, I don't blame you. Again, that the period of, like, I call it the Marvel Now period, but that period of like late 2013 to, I would honestly say 2023, whenever the first issue of the Ultimate Universe began. Okay, so I guess that's actually 2022 because of the Ultimate Invasion miniseries. So for about 8 years there, right? Like, everything got insufferable because I hit on this a little while ago. I'm not sure if you were around at that time of the show, but things became like over commodified and over, like, publishers started giving too much leeway to fan creators, right? Like, they'd go, oh, this person who runs a really popular blog or a really popular Twitter account about, the X-Men or the Green Lantern, why don't you come and write a book? And it's like, you're clearly a fan. You have a following. Let's do that. And nobody gave them guardrails, and they kind of let them do whatever they want under this notion of, like, fans know best, which is, it's good to listen to your fans, but it's also you don't have to listen. Like, don't listen to every single thing they say because they might not, have the right reads of everything. It's always good to listen to them, but you don't always have to follow them. But yeah, that period just got super slopification, where everybody was kind of like, all of these books, all of our characters were being used for personal therapy sessions, or as whatever was being done to them was very clearly being done in order to market their movie or to try and get people interested in the character so that they can then market off of them. And it became very cynical, right? Like, that's what I think I would hit. As I kind of have been noting over the show, like, since 2022, things are getting better, right? Like, I definitely think that somewhere up there in Warner, in Disney, in Marvel, in DC, yada yada, they realized it, right? Like, they went, this isn't working. We need to get back to, like, what comic books are, because that's one thing, guys. Remember, there's maybe one or two out of zillions of instances where, like, the people who work for these companies don't want these things to fail, right? When we went through that Marvel Now era, it wasn't because Marvel and Disney were going, oh, yeah, fuck them. Like, oh yeah, we want to ruin this brand into the ground just to make people feel bad. They were going, hey, we're going to, like, lean into this because this is apparently where the money is. And it wasn't. So at a certain point, yeah, like, there's still, especially out of Marvel, there's still some really bad, really rough books being pushed or, like, published. But I think somebody up there has realized, like, we've got to remember what comic books are. Shout out to my one of my favorite writers, Scott Snyder, currently on Absolute Batman. He gave an interview when Absolute Batman was, like, the debuting, and he was basically like, our mission with this book is to bring back that idea of monthly comics where you turn a page and there's something shocking and incredible and you gasp, and then you get to the end of the book and you want to read more. And more books are doing that. Like, off the top of my head, Joshua Williamson's current run on Superman, Mark Waid's current run on, well, World's Finest, and now he's currently on Flash. He's one issue in, but it's Mark Waid on Flash. What do you want from it? Pretty much anything by Jonathan Hickman I'll recommend. Peach Momoko is a great storyteller. Things are getting better. They're not as great as they once were. Like, never will be. It's also like a false notion. The 80s, the 90s, the 70s, those were all filled with lots of shit. But nature is healing, if you will, right? What? That's crazy. Kenny says, wish I kept my Jim Lee signed Hush comics from the original releases. Sold them about a decade ago. Oh, well. Well, that's a good attitude to have, man. I wish I was better about that attitude, because I would definitely still, like, it wouldn't affect my life, but every time I thought about it, I definitely have like that 10 seconds of like, God damn it. Like, you know what I mean? But funny note on Hush, just because you brought it up. Right now, DC is publishing a sequel series to Hush. Hush 2, not that, original, written by Jeff Loeb and illustrated once again by Jim Lee. So that double, that's the sequel was announced, let's say, last year, and they said it's going to start coming out in summer of 2025. And what we're going to do is we're going to go 6 issues of the first part of Hush. Then we're going to take a break and go back to the regular Batman story. And then we'll have like a time skip, and then we'll pick back up with 6 more issues of Hush. It was supposed to be completed by summer next year. We've gotten 3 of those issues, and they just announced that the 4th one has been delayed to March. Like, it's so like this. What I'm razzing on here is like they completely fucked up the schedule, and it's actually so bad, guys, that if you go pick up a new Batman, like the next Batman Hush 2 issue, it is numbered Batman 164 or 54. Here, let me double check this real quick. Batman 164, not from 1950 or from the 40s. Nobody knows what the heck that is. Nobody's read those. Of course they have. I've read those. Come on. Give me what I'm looking for. Why won't you give me what I'm looking for? There, is it this one? Maybe. God, where is it? DC, why does your website just absolutely eat butt? All right, I'm gonna go to a different one because this is ridiculous. Boop-a-doo-boo. Yeah. It is issue. Okay, it'll be 163. We're on 162 right now. Here, I'll just pull up the cover. Might as well give us something to look at, if you will. We'll go boom. Oh, still Arachnogenesis. That's a dummy on my end. Let's get it over to Batman. So yeah, you'll notice up there in the corner, I'll even zoom in a little bit. Batman Hush, latest issue, Batman 162. Now, 3 weeks or 2 months ago, Batman or DC relaunched the Batman book. Like, they gave it a new volume, a new numbering, and everything. We're currently on issue 3 of that volume of Batman. If you guys read comic books, you'll know that when you have like a volume, like you have a Batman or you have Amazing Spider-Man, you end the volume there for whatever reason, whether you're rebooting the universe or, as they like to do nowadays, it's just, a creative team change. You end the book there. And then the next time like a Spider-Man or a Batman appears on the shelf, that's the new volume, right? It's still the same series. It's still continuing, but it's the new volume. Right now, this old volume, like volume 3 here of Batman, is still being published alongside like volume 4. I went into the shop when this issue dropped, and it was brand new next to Batman number 3. And I legitimately have never seen that before. Like, I've never seen a publishing schedule fuck up that bad. And I kind of, guys, like, I'm kind of thinking about emailing a couple of like pro creators, because this never really happened before. Like, we've had delays, we've had deadlines, but over the past like 2 or 3 years, we've seen insane delays to things. And I'd honestly say it probably started around Doomsday Clock, right? That thing was supposed to be just 12 issues over a year, done and done. It took like 3 years for Johns and Gary Frank to finish that out. I have no idea what it is, whether it's like personal work ethics or it's their own, like maybe there's something going on with DC. But regardless, I'm like, what is going on? Like, what? Talk to me, Goose. Like why are we doing so bad here? Or like bad? Why are we unable to keep people? You know what I mean. That might not have been the most clear way to say it, but you know what I mean. All right, let's see. Yeah, Kenny says, yeah, I can get on my brain sometimes about things that shot up in value, but don't have a time machine, so can't change it. If I did, I would get 12 or go back and get like all the 12 Star Wars figures, the original. 100. Like, I just watched the Simpsons episode where I think it's where Lisa, like the new girl, comes to Springfield, and she's just as smart as Lisa and good and everything, and then like Lisa sabotages her science project. But at the end, the whole joke is Ralph Wiggum, his entry for the science fair is just a bunch of like still in package vintage like Kenner Star Wars toys. And there's a line at the end of the episode where he's walking away and he trips and he goes, "I bent my Wookiee." And that line is like burned into my brain, A, because of that episode, and B, because one of my favorite bands uses it as like an intro sample. But yeah, I hear you. And like, that's the thing, is like, I'm a way better about it now, Kenny, right? Like, I know, like, I accept the things I can't change. I don't have a time machine, but there's still that little bit of me, like, which is why I said it only lasts like 10 or 15 seconds, where I'm like, we will will ourselves to break the laws of physics and go back in time and kick our childhood selves in the face. You know what I mean? Hey, check that out. We have OG Maximus over here from Twitch. How is it going? He said followed. That's amazing to hear. You're our first follower on our reopened Bounding channel. Yeah, guys, we used to have an old Twitch. The login is gone. We'll never get it back. So we started that new one. Do we play any games? Not on this particular stream, but yes, I do play games. I stream them Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Stream pretty much anything. Right now, I stick to like newer releases or things like, if Marvel Rivals gets an update or Fortnite, things to, keep you guys all sort of informed, let you guys, give you the information to make your own opinions on things instead of just listening to people who want you to be angry so you click on things. Which, by the way, guys, I have no idea what we're playing this upcoming week. So if there's any video games you guys can think of, Zero, I know I saw you in here earlier, buddy. Maybe you know what's coming down the pipe. But yeah, if there's any, big games, major titles you guys are interested in seeing, played out, let me know, and we'll go through that next week. Okay, yes, yeah. What? Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, they're all here. Yeah, and then what is it? It's like, what do you think about awarding him first prize? I think it's lunchtime. We have a winner. Yeah, poor Ralph. He was such a good kid and already bald like Charlie Brown. Life kicked him in the balls. I feel really bad for Ralph, but Ralph's also like, because he's kind of so dim-witted, he genuinely seems like one of the few happy people in Springfield. Yeah, there are those moments when it really hurts him, like when Bart steals the key, like Chief Wiggum's key that unlocks everything, or when Lisa breaks his heart, right? Pause it right there. At least you can see the exact second his heart breaks. But for the most part, that little guy is just there. He's just existing. Like, go grapefruit, or no, go banana on the bus, like fruit race, and he was fine with it. Maximus, if you want to like share links and stuff, people will be happy to take a look at it. I'm not going to pull anything up on stream right now, but yeah, always happy to support artists. Always happy to see if you got any cool stuff. Love to see it. Have you played M. Dickey games? No, I don't think so. I've never heard of that. Solo game development. Oh no, I've never seen these, but these kind of look absolutely incredible. Holy crap. Oh, wait, that's not what I wanted. I pulled the whole like URL. Why won't you load? I have no idea if these are actually like any good, but these look like, oh wow, he links it to like the actual like Nintendo page. That's fine. What is today's date? 11/22, 1700. What? They don't let ghosts play? See, I'm actually really intrigued by this because it could either go complete slop and it's like one of those hilarious pieces of slop, or it's actually like really, really good underneath like the jank graphics. I don't know, but I think you've got me with something here, Hibiki. This is kind of making me smile just looking at the preview. Oh yeah, you said this earlier. I forget what you asked. Did you say, oh yeah, there it is. Do you think we're gonna get a new Spawn movie? Honestly, yeah. I'm actually more surprised we haven't yet, because I feel like Venom. Well, that's kind of what I was getting at. I feel like Spawn is one of those guys where you just put him on something, just an image of him, like a Venom or a Wolverine, and all the divorced dads, right? Like they're all gonna rush to it. I say that lovingly because I love Spawn as well. But to that end, we're seeing a massive revival of just a lot of core image properties in general. Obviously, Spawn himself had that big I wouldn't say reboot, but like that big new initiative, if you will, rebirth, it maybe like a couple years ago, where we got all the like Gunslinger Spawn, and there was like a rat, like Void or something, rat something, I don't know. Super, super far behind on all of those, but I know it's around. Witchblade is currently going. I know that Witchblade is still going, and it is actually really good, like the current Witchblade reboot. They're just about, I think he's going to re-debut officially in the upcoming holiday special. Hey, look at that. Bring it full circle from the top of the show. But the Darkness, like Michael, like he's being like revived. Youngblood, obviously, with Rob Liefeld, he's taking the 7th crack at that thing. All of that is to say, Image is clearly making moves, and I think they would be absolutely dumb to not be doing something in terms of a Spawn movie, right? Like, he just had that big resurgence with the comics. He's always sort of popular, like, and like he breaks the mold of typical superhero-y film actions and stuff, right? Like, obviously, if you say, oh, you want to go see a superhero film, a lot of people are going to default to the MCU, the DCU formula, which is understandable because that's what we've gotten. But I feel like a Spawn, everybody would go like, he's a superhero, but he's not a superhero. He's a Venom. He's an anti-hero. He's a Wolverine. So, and like, just with the level of effects we've gotten since that 90s movie, like, okay, I got to bring it up because it is absolutely one of my favorite things in all of media. God, I'm laughing so hard at that M. Dickey page, man. Like, thank you so much of it. Like, this is cracking me up. Yeah. This like this scene, it's not narratively awful, but God, like, it is. We all know what I'm pulling up, probably. Like, if you're not actively looking at the screen, you probably know what I'm pulling up. But like, this whole hell sequence, like, that's actually pretty cool looking. But then like when Satan shows up, oh, just a little loud for you guys. I don't want to like blow us all out. But like, okay, we can do a lot better than this now. Just we could have done a lot better than this probably like a year after this specific scene. So like obviously, as we've learned with the MCU, it's not just about graphics and effects and anything like that, right? Like, I'm not saying a new Spawn movie would work so well because it's going to be super CG and we have the technology. Obviously not. What I am saying is that should we get one, I would be hopeful that we get, you know, the technology exists there, if you will, to make it really, really, really good looking. And I would want to see that. Obviously, as with anything, it all comes down to who's writing it, the story, what the studio will allow them to do with the character, which is another kind of benefit to Spawn, right? Is that's a good place to pause it, just for a cool graphic. But that's one of the advantages of Spawn, is that Spawn is not connected. Like, how do I put this? He's not a brand unto himself. When you think of Spider-Man, when you think of the X-Men, when you think of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, whomever, we all have this is the archetypal, who is Spider-Man? He's Peter Parker who got bit by a spider and, deals with power and responsibility. Because that's a brand, because even that aspect of that character is so well known and ingrained in pop culture, you can't, there's a lot of this. You have to think about a lot of factors when you're experimenting with it, right? Is it going to piss people off? Is this something that people will believe? Does it make sense within the terms of his character? So on and so forth. And that's why we get a lot of, or that's how we ended up with Marvel Comics right now being the house of status quo, because they'll go, oh, let's, Dr. Octopus is a good guy now. Bucky is Captain America, things like that. They'll throw it out there, but then they always have to come back. They can't ever go too far or play too much with one idea, because they don't want it to start bleeding into the general idea people have of that character, and thus confusing them, and thus, leading to, in their minds, less sales, which dumb argument, considering people aren't stupid. You can tell them oh, this comes after that. One sec. Stay hydrated, everybody. I hope you all have, well, if you have a good drink, like an adult drink, have one for me, but also stay hydrated. But because Spawn is sort of not, if we were to change who Spawn, the identity of Spawn right now on a public perception level, not a lot of people would really know or care. And again, we know Spawn, we're fans. I'm talking about the general movie going audience, right? If all of a sudden you said Spawn didn't get his powers from hell, but he got them from a magic curse, right? What? Again, these aren't serious. I'm just throwing things out there. Again, we'd go, that's really kind of stupid, but okay. The main audience will roll with it as long as we're not changing fundamentally who Spawn is. Okay. Or you could even do something where, Spawn dies and Angela becomes the new Spawn. Things like that. You have more freedom with somebody like Spawn, because there is no expectation of we have that definitive character we want he is. So obviously you don't want to go too out of whack and turn her into this is a single Sri Lankan mother whose powers come from the river. You don't want to do something like that. That's absolutely insane. But taking more of what I'm getting at with this is less changing things about his character, where his powers come from or whatever, but more to say, because Spawn has sort of no expectations, you can go wild with him in the sense of you can actually take your viewers by surprise, right? He's a superhero, but he's not a typical superhero. Play it up. I mean, the Spawn comic, even in its first 50 issues, has 7 different twists and things that Al does that you wouldn't expect, and so on and so forth, right? Spawn is liable to be one of those things that will subvert everybody's expectations just by virtue of being different from the expectations, right? And that's not Spawn trying, it's just I am Spawn. So I would hope we do. I feel like I heard years ago, I feel like I wrote about it for Bounding, but like years ago, they were working on something. Don't know where that went, but yeah, I'm of the opinion that it would just be really, really dumb if you did nothing with that license or with him. There it was. Yeah. Pardon me. Gunslinger Spawn, Scorched, Rat City. That's the one that I always like confuse. Witchblade, Darkness, all doing well. Yeah. Rat City is that's like the future one, right? That's the one that always like doesn't click in my brain as being a Spawn title. I always forget it. So like I'm thankful they put that little like image tag that says like a Spawn Universe title, because I would forget. Oh yeah, no, 100% Kenny. We'll get a new Spawn movie before GT. I wouldn't be surprised if like next month we get the announcement that's like, hey everybody, we know you're excited for GTA 6, but we decided to really give you the experience. We're gonna delay it a little more to release it for the PS6 generation or whatever's coming next. Like, I can see it. I can see it. And you know what? And you know what the stupid part is, Kenny? They'll still make $700 bajillion because they're fucking Rockstar and GTA. Oh, no audio on the screen share. That's okay. That there wasn't really a lot of audio. It was just the grunting and screaming from the movie. Didn't really add or detract anything. So good to know, though. It's the same thing that always happens when I try to add you onto the show, right? Timon is here. Hey, Spence, just woke up from the afternoon nap after a bad night. Dude, first off, love having you, Timon. Always a pleasure. I was kind of like, oh man, I haven't seen Timon. You're a regular viewer. I hope you pop by. Second, like I hear that. I don't know if you had like a bad night emotionally or like a bad night of sleep, but I've had a couple of those myself lately, and I'll just commiserate and say like they're not fun. So I'm glad it's the weekend at least, and you have the opportunity to take a nap and maybe get some refreshers in. But either way, happy to have you, happy to see you, happy to have you as long as you're up and at 'em. Andrew says, definitely having some wine. Man, I ain't got nothing here. I'm being all good and responsible with my water. Are you kidding me? Oh yeah, Hibiki. As soon as like I already had it in my mind, like I gotta show this to Cider, like the McDickey games, and then Cider and Nerdigans and I obviously have like a team chat with everybody else, so they'll definitely know. They will definitely know. A gritty HBO Max show might be good for Spawn. I could see that. I would actually really, really like that. I'm sort of. I really want to see more sort of like limited series or television series that are taken with like proper production value and like the same level of production value as the MCU or DCEU, right? That was one of my big issues with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was I actually liked the early bits of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it looked so cheap compared to like Avengers, which we just watched as a society. And yeah, that always like bugged me. But I actually think not only in terms of like personal preference, I think you're like onto something with we're in a very big era of like obviously prestige TV has always been a thing, right? Your Sopranos, your Breaking Bad, your whatever. But I feel like in the last year, we've recovered from the ecosystem of having like everything is everywhere and there's 900 things you can watch it every time and everything is critically acclaimed to the point where like Netflix, Apple, everybody, they're putting out fewer prestige things, but those prestige things happen to be better for it and more people see it because there's time. I think, like Yellowstone, Plurvius, or whatever that new show from Vince Gilligan is, Succession. I think and then, you've got the gap right now, the void being left by Peacemaker, which is done. And then The Boys is about to end, right? Regardless of what we think about the shows, because trust me, I'm sure we all have criticisms that are rightfully like due to those shows. But yeah, in terms of like a business, there's a big old gap there for superhero show series that's not that's a little edgier, right? A little grittier, and of course let me pose this question to you guys because this is kind of funny, and then we should probably move on to at least the main topic. I should at least nail the thumbnail topic so that if we end the show today, people don't click in and go, where was Batman Deadpool? But shoot, what was I going to say about Spawn there? I was going to say, dang, I totally blanked on that, even though no reason to blank on it. But yeah, I really do think right now, like Spawn would, that's what I was going to say. Like, let me ask you this. Do you guys think it would be in like would it be beneficial or detrimental if Spawn leaned into because I said those words like edgy, gritty, not edgy, because, just to define it for everybody, I'm sure everybody knows this, but maybe we don't know how to like put a word on it. Dang it, I saw a comment and now it like completely like blanked my mind on what I was trying to say. Okay. Edgy and gritty, right? Like gritty is something like a Sin City where it's darker. There is blood, there is violence. You're getting into that seedier part of, humanity, but it sort of actively, even if your protagonist is engaging in the violence or causing it themselves or the drugs or whatever, your setting sort of acknowledges that this is bad, right? Like your Wolverines are gritty, your Punishers are gritty. Edgy is, it also traffics in that same, blood, viscera, fighting, conflict, but it takes it too jokingly, right? Like it doesn't treat it seriously. Everything is a joke, sort of like an MCU movie would. And so I want to ask you guys too, because I genuinely have I don't know where I sit on this. Do you think it would be good or bad for a Spawn series or a Spawn movie to lean into the like edginess that he was in the 90s and really play it up in that camp style? Or do you think it's more beneficial to play him completely straight gritty style, right? I think both work. I genuinely think both have like an advantage, sort of like, Adam West Batman and Christopher Nolan Batman have their places. But I want to ask you guys, like, what do you think? What would you rather see out of a Spawn thing? Oh man, Kenny, hey, thank you so much for stopping by. That was a lot of fun, like lots of good discussion points with you. Hope to see you again to talk more collectibles that you and I can't afford and more Simpsons episodes. Because man, I'm running through that series right now thanks to Fortnite, and I watch the Simpsons a lot, but I'm like paying attention. I'm listening. All right. Yeah, Timon says we may be getting a new Gavin series before a new Spawn movie. I did see that. Yes, Space Sheriff Gavin. They just Toei just filed a new copyright for it's like Space Sheriff Gavin Infinity. Nobody's quite sure what it means yet, because there is, in case you guys don't know, Power Rangers or Super Sentai as a show is coming to an end with the end of Gyozuger, the currently running one. It will start up again under a new name next year called Universe Heroes. Now, we don't know anything about the details about like as to how they're going to, like, we know it's connected. Like it's just a continuation. We don't know how, who, what, where. We don't know really anything about it. Toei has yet to offer any official statements on it one way or the other. Initially, we learned about it because there was a single news report from a Japanese website, a 2-sentence long report that just said, insiders say Super Sentai is ending. Super Sentai started in 1979 with Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. That's all that report said. I personally didn't put a lot of stock in that. I went, that's interesting, but who are you? Like, there's no info. A couple days later, Toei's like broadcast partner over in Thailand, like officially like partnered with them and everything, like contracts, international stage and everything. They posted an announcement that was like, Super Sentai is coming to an end. and Universe Heroes is coming. Get ready to see what you see next year. They didn't follow up on that, but nobody took it down. It's still up. And if you're like that strong of a partner with Toei, I'm sure you either know what you're talking about or you would have gotten in a lot of trouble had you not, right? Like, totally, had you not something. I don't even know what I was saying there. But, yeah, nobody knows, or, so that distributor, that partner, they posted that update. I give them a lot of stock in it until I hear an official deconfirmation from Toei. I'm going to say that's probably what we're going to see. With the Gavin thing, the current speculation is either we're getting a full new Gavin thing, which would be really insane, or, whoa, I don't know what happened to that voice crack, or we're looking at almost like an Avengers style thing where like Gavin and the Sentai, like the Space Sheriff series and the like B Fighter series and the Sentai series, like they're all going to come together and the teams will be made up of them, and like Gavin will be the sort of Captain America leader type, right? I have no idea. I could not tell you which way I think it's going to lean, but if it means we get more Metal Heroes, I am completely all for it. You know that. Yeah, Bad Night of Sleep, dude. I have those a lot, like a lot. So just whatever you need to get through the day, right? Whether that's like 700 energy drinks or you just need to take like 40 more naps, I support you. Hibiki says the new Spawn movie could be on HBO Max or Amazon Prime. Actually, like, I would only say I'd rather see it on HBO Max because I feel like Prime doesn't have a really good distribution system. Like, even when I go on it to watch something like The Boys or whatever, it just doesn't feel like a good interface. It doesn't feel like it's discoverable. It feels like Amazon Prime and Apple TV are two services that are like, you come to us if you know us, and we're not going to tell you about it. But you know, things are here, which is like, okay, it's cool. But I also I want to know when a new Spawn show is coming out. You know what I mean? So I would say HBO for that. But if it was if it was just coming down to a question of distribution, I don't think I'd really. Again, I'd want HBO, but I wouldn't have a problem with Prime. Let's see. You guys say, Andrew says, I'd rather my Spawn be dark and gritty, but not want to be edgy like Snyder. Yeah. So you want the more like take it serious, but don't go edgy. Don't oh, I'm Spawn, I'm gonna start killing every blah 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 blah. And then Hibiki says, I think the new Spawn movie should be the same one from the 90s, edgy gritty. Yeah, I think everybody here you guys are on the same level of like, make it gritty and like very violent, and it has like the darkness and everything, but there's that like one line, like just don't cross that little edge that puts you over from like gritty to postal, right? Like Uwe postal. Alrighty, so let's see, where are we even at in terms of time, in terms of all of that stuff? I do not use StreamYard, guys. Normally Cider is the one who's like actively running the producing the streams, so he's in the control seat. So I am learning on the fly, just as all of you are. Let's see, we have been live for about an hour and a half. Cool. So we've got like 30 minutes, an hour left. I think this is probably a good point because I'm sure it'll spawn a lot of discussion points. Let's get into the main, I guess you could say, headline topic I had for tonight. Pretty relevant to, I would say, everything you got a banning into comics for, the entire reason you guys have probably found yourselves in our internet communities and everything. Let's talk a little comic books, right? Let's talk a little comics. And our comic du jour, I guess you could say, will be Batman Deadpool. As I said at the top of the stream, as I showed in the thumbnail and put in the headline, let's get into this book, right? Because it's a pretty substantial release. In case you guys don't know the entire drama, how everything went down, back in like the 90s, right? Like 90s, 80s, 70s, all that fun stuff. DC and Marvel used to be more friends than rivals, right? Like, yes, they both knew they were competitors, but they would allow each other to poke fun or pay homage to their characters, right? One of my favorite instances of this is in right after Barry Allen dies in Crisis on Infinite Earths, #8. The next issue of Quasar over at Marvel has Quasar entering a interstellar like race against, you know, a bunch of speedsters, Mercury, Quasar, I think Quicksilver's there. And right before the starting gun goes off, a lightning bolt crashes onto the starting line, and everybody's like, what the fuck? There's a guy there. And he's got, you know, he's got long, shaggy blonde hair. He's got, you know, a tattered red like unitard on with some yellow boots. And they go, who are you? And he goes, I don't know. I feel like my name is Buried Alien, because it's fucking Barry Allen. And like, you know, there was no issue there. DC loved it. For a while, DC actually would like nod and like, yeah, that's actually technically canon. He goes there, pops back into the Speed Force, got it. It was nice, right? And obviously off of that, we got all of the crossovers: Superman, Spider-Man, Silver Surfer, Green Lantern, Daredevil, Punisher. And then of course the little series that always has a special place in my heart, just because I was born in 1990. I am a kid of the 90s till I die. I'm a comic book kid of the 90s till I die. The Amalgam Comics, where first it was DC versus Marvel, where they fought, and then they got smashed together by the plot into the Amalgam Comics universe, which was basically just like a mini fake imprint where these characters like Dark Claw or Spider-Boy, who was a combination of Superboy and Ben Reilly, like that's what those characters were, right? Always loved that. Like I love that shit so much. I don't know what it is. It's just it's monkey brain to me. It's monkey brain. Cool superheroes mashed together. Ooh, 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 right? Like it literally is just that. But so they would do that for a while. Then they got to, I think it was like 96 or 98, and they did JLA versus Avengers, the big, you know, the really good one from Perez and who drew that one? It was, well, I know Perez. It was Perez and what's his name from Crisis? Is it Phil Jimenez? No, I can't remember. But anyway, that series comes out. It's great. We roll over into the 2000s, and as we roll over into the 2000s, Marvel gets a new editor-in-chief by the name of Joe Quesada, who up until this point was a sort of successful indie publisher. He had his own publication line. He was a decent artist. He had done some stuff for Marvel beforehand. They tagged him and said, hey, want to be our editor-in-chief? And he came on in. Upon his tenure, like as he arrives, he starts taking this like DC Marvel thing way too seriously, right? Like he gets infected by the edginess of the late 90s and 2000s and starts going like, they should be our friends. Like we're better than them. Like this is a competition, right? And so from there, that attitude and that atmosphere that Quesada set really soured the industry, right? Like everybody from Marvel. Well, first off, DC got really soured out. They're like, why are you guys being such dicks? And so they went, okay, we're not really open for any of this right now. And then because that was Quesada's like edict, up until like 2021, 2022, Marvel would just go, no, we're not doing that. Like we just don't really do that kind of crossover anymore. The Invincible crossover in like 2014, that was a big deal. I was alive for that one. And it was massive. Like, oh my God, a third-party character is actually going to appear in a Marvel? That's crazy. And we've gotten, and since then we've gotten like, you know, Godzilla or Ultraman in the Marvel universe. But those guys are officially licensed by Marvel. They're not just created and whatever, right? Like, what was I trying to say there? They actually own those characters. They're not letting them guest, right? And that was that was unfortunately the status quo, like I said, up until 2021, 2022. At least that's what I presume, because it wasn't until last year at the every year in Pasadena, California, there's a giant comic retailer summit. All the pros go there, right? Like the editors in chiefs, the SVPs, and then also like comic book store owners and stuff like that. This is really like an industry meeting about sales and what to expect from blah 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 blah. So last year at that instance of this event, of this conference, Cebulski, CB Cebulski, the white guy who pretended to be Asian, who's currently the editor-in-chief of Marvel, and then, God bless her, I always forget her name, the DC's editor-in-chief, Marie Javins, like Javins, oh, Javins, that's how you pronounce it, Marie Javins, which, like, props to her. Like, I don't know her name, and that's good. Like, I shouldn't fucking know. Like, that to me is so impressive. I have mad respect for her. Like, I'm the editor-in-chief of DC, and you motherfuckers have never, you all probably still think Dan Didio is in charge, right? Like, bravo to her. But those two got up. They were talking, general temperature of their respective publishing houses, and they, out of nowhere, announced, by the way, we're actually going to cross over again. Whatever happened, we buried the hatchet. The Quesada era is behind us. Next year, you're going to see 2 DC Marvel crossovers. So the first one, from there, we didn't know exactly what we were going to get. The release plans eventually came out, and it was, hold on, I'm just trying to pull up. Oh, I think it's actually in here. I'll just do this. So the way this crossover, this whole shebang eventually played out was both Marvel and DC would be doing a giant size like anthology one shot for with each of their issues produced by like their top talent or like some of their top talent at the time, right? So for example, over in the Marvel one, which I'm trying to pull up, it's here somewhere. There it is. Here, we'll jump over to that one real quick just to keep things visually on I don't know, on the rails. I didn't really have a good follow-up for that one. All right, so yeah, earlier this year we got Deadpool Batman, from Marvel, and this issue had the main story from Zeb I Hate Spider-Man Wells and Greg Capullo, who we all know. Greg Capullo, he drew the New 52 Batman, Court of Owls stuff. He drew Dark Knight's Metal. He drew Wolverine's Revenge. I mean, he did that after 7 years, but that's a joke. It only took him like an extra couple months, but still. So they headlined the main story about Batman and Deadpool meeting up. As I sort of hit or talked about a little bit earlier in the show, it's a fine story. It's got moments that I laughed at. It had moments that I thought were cool, but overall, it definitely feels just like a little bit better than what you would expect from a big, mass marketed merchandising crossover comic, right? Because as comic book fans, we would love to see them explore deep things and deep lore and connections and canon. But I think as people who also understand the real world and how that works, we all unfortunately understand that as a business, they have to try to sell to a wide range. That doesn't mean they have to make it for everybody per se, but they do want to maximize how they can the amount of people it can reach, right? So oh yeah, and JMS, of course JMS. But so with the main story here in Batman or this one's the Deadpool Batman, it's fine, has its moments, but overall, meh. I remember Andrew and I watched or reviewed this over on Foil Variant, and we were like, it's fine, but the Joker is really, really this is a bad characterization for the Joker. From there, we got so overall this one story about Batman and Deadpool was fine. It was meh. But Where this issue really excelled was in, as I had up a second ago, it included, what is this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional like anthology stories that crossed over various characters. We got Captain America and Wonder Woman, written by Chip Zdarsky and drawn by the Dodson couple, Terry and Rachel. A story about Diana and Steve meeting on the World War II battlefield for the first time, and like seeing her humanity, their connection. You know, Steve wants to shoot Hitler in the head, and they've got to deal with this. You know, is this justice? It's really, really good, and it's a Dodson art. It's Terry Dodson art with his wife Rachel along for the ride. Because guys, Andrew and I've noticed recently, like if Terry does a piece by himself, something is off. Like he doesn't have the right brushes, he doesn't have the right finish. It just looks grainy and bad and not great, not fun. So this story was a lot of fun. Then we got a cute little tale written by Kelly Thompson herself with art by Guru Hiru, the creative team for Jeff the Land Shark. They did just a little mini about, or like a little story about Jeff and Crypto meeting and playing some super powered pet volleyball, if you will. And nothing wrong with that, wrong phrase. Not a lot to write home about, but there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like it's just a cute, fun little tale. It ends, and it was fun. Then we go into an actually well-written Kevin Smith, like from Kevin Smith and Adam Kubert, Green Arrow and Daredevil team up. Surprise! So Kevin Smith did write both of these characters back in like the 2000s, and his runs on them are good. However, we all know what current Kevin Smith is like, and piss off the audience, and let me go cry at 700 things. I can report that like I was pleasantly surprised by this story because, again, and this is what I think I told this to you, Andrew. I think the fact that Kevin was only given 7 pages to work with really helped, because if you'd have given him more, I can easily see him just going back into like an evil that men do type of writing flow. But I think because he was limited, he had to go, okay, let me think. Let me really put my attention to this. And as a result, we get a story that's like, oh, yeah, you do remember how to write these characters. Like once in a while, you remember. Yep. That those Borks were for the for Jeff Borkin. Playing the freaking laser powered volleyball. Yeah, he was forced. Andrew says he was forced to just keep the storytelling tight for the short story, and I think it really worked out like to his advantage. With you make it so there's not a lot of room for him to like tangent out or get creative, if you will, and you can lock back into like, oh, that's right, Kevin Smith does know how to write these characters. And also, this is just like a great Count Vertigo page from Adam Kubert. I don't know why I've always liked him, but I've developed a recent appreciation for Kubert's work. Like I like him a lot. But then we got easily like Al Ewing, one of my favorite currently working writers, and then Dyke Ruan, who's like easily top. I wish he would do more interiors, but he does mostly covers. Easily like a number 3 cover artist for me, or at least up there. I'd have to sit down and think. Those two team up to deliver a 2-page story about the Guardians and the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Guardians of Oa meeting. And they go, wow, look, there are 2 Guardians organizations. We had no idea. Space is so vast. You know what? Let's learn more about each other. Let's have a partnership. Let's do a cultural exchange. We'll send Rocket to be a Green Lantern, and you can send Hal over to us to be a Guardian for like a little while. And we just get this fun little dumb tale about like, it's Rocket being like, Ganthet yells at him like, you shot Sinestro in the face. Yeah, should I not do that? Right? Like, it's Rocket being Rocket, but using his ring. And so eventually the Guardians are like, oh my God, like can you take him back? And the Guardians, the Galaxy picks up the phone and they're like, yeah, we kind of have our own problem. And it's because Parallax got the Infinity Gauntlet. Vertigo does kind of look like Alan Scott in these pages. I did notice that, but I still know he's Count Vertigo. Luckily. And then, yeah, like it's 2 pages, guys. It's like my favorite little bit from this entire book. I can't praise it enough. But this is to say, it's another good one, right? And then I actually didn't like this one. I know some people will, but we get this really, what is it, like 3 pages of Frank Miller illustrating a random fight between Batman and Wolverine, which I don't know, man. If you like Frank Miller, have at it. I'm kind of okay. I like Frank Miller stuff. Even I'm like, not really. And I mean, like, I like his writing mostly nowadays. His art has really kind of gone off a cliff. But if it's for you, it's for you. Yeah, see, imagine complete Infinity Gauntlet Parallax Hal. Like, I kind of don't know what beats that, Andrew. Like, you've got an emotional spectrum deity and the Infinity Stones. And barring the fact, as I talk about, they won't fucking tell us how strong the Spectre actually is, which I still contend. You guys know this. I'm not religious. Like, I am not personally religious at all. But I believe that, like, if the Spectre, by DC canon, if the Spectre is the vengeance of the Christian God, theoretically, that's like the most powerful thing. Like, I don't know what you beat with that, right? So, yeah, I think you low diffs everyone at that point. Yeah, at that point, you Manhattan, you're like, you go Dr. Manhattan. You go, I'm bored of your universe and its stupid, troubles. I'm leaving. Infinity Rings War. Oh shit. Oh no, wait. Imagine if each stone was tied to a certain emotional spectrum, like color. And instead of just like generic beam powers, whatever, well, you would have the beams, but then whatever color you had would lock you into like whatever the stone was, right? So if you're a Green Lantern, you have slight time travel capabilities. And maybe that's how you explain how they can get places so fast or whatever. If you're a Yellow Lantern, you have the Soul Stone, right? And you can like really tear into people's like inner beings. Oh man, get Jonathan Hickman on this right absolutely now. That is the only person who I would trust to write this. Him, or you literally go like find his body and you throw George Perez into a Lazarus pit. Like, those are literally the only 2 people. Maybe Jeff Johns, but and I say maybe Jeff Johns because I know he's good and I like his stuff. I don't know what he's been up to right now. I know he's doing all the Ghost Machine stuff, and I've heard it's good. I just personally have not read it, so I cannot say if I still believe. I'm sure he's still a great writer. I don't know if he, in this moment, would get my vote for handling this amazing of an event. You know what I mean? Like, this is a high-level, like, brain event. You would need, Andrew kind of hits it. Hickman would kill this shit, and, like, he's kind of, it's either him or Grant Morrison. My fanboying aside, it's either him, Grant Morrison, or if he's really ready to step, like, it could be a proving moment for him, Joshua Williamson, right? Obviously, we need to nurture the next generation of talent, especially now that Grant Morrison is pretty much officially retired from comic books. But, like, those 2 right now, and then maybe Williamson, if he had, maybe, keep like just put him in the office next to Wade so they can like chat a little bit. Those are the 3 who I kind of trust right now to do an event. I don't know, like, I love Wade. I read Absolute Power. It was not a good event. That also admittedly could have been DC hamstringing him. I don't know, but I'm good with him focusing on the Flash. Just make him Mr. Flash from here on out. Check that out. We have Tehillim arriving a little later into the show, correctly identifying not your usual streaming time. It is not. We have switched up the streaming schedule over here. I'm doing a lot more with Bounding. There's a whole trailer I put out. I will link it later in the Discords or tag you Tehillim. I don't have it offhand, but yeah, you'll be seeing a lot more of me at more different times. Well, you'll be seeing me every 11 a.m. on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'll be playing video games. Saturdays, right here, Good Mab Ugly. This show, never letting it die. Well, unless it has to. You know what I mean. Shut the hell up. Don't asterisk my entry here. But Yeah. Oh, man, I really want to see Hickman, like a Hickman monologue dialogue thing of like a lantern struggling to fight, say, like like the reality stone under Atrocitus's control versus, say, like, yeah, time under the green, like under John, or maybe Guy. And then you'd even have to like, you'd have to come up with a new one because Kyle's a White Lantern, right? And like, what happens when Kyle taps into all of them? So I fucking want this. I want it. But yeah, from there we had our Frank Miller story. Then we get a sort of actual Amalgam Comics story where Ryan Stegman and I believe, Ryan North introduce a new mashup of Wolverine and Lobo, who straight up kills. It looks like Iron Lantern, but I think it is supposed to be a Vision. Oh yeah, Coltron. That's what it is. Yeah, it's Cole and it's Ultron fused together. That's what it is. But simple little story. It's really nothing of substance. It's just like, oh hey, neat Lobo Wolverine mashup. Fun thing to look at, right? So overall, this initial crossover from Marvel was like, all right, main story was fine. Ooh, side stories are actually pretty entertaining. Wow, like, this is what I like about comic books. And then we got, or so that's how we left it with Marvel. Interestingly enough, going back here to DC's recent Batman Deadpool just came out on Wednesday. I would actually argue this is the complete opposite, right? This like DC's entry has an amazing story, like first story, like main story. All the side ones are like really, 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 really stupid. You know what I mean? Hey, check that out. We got Corey a day late and a day gay. Yes, technically, well, definitely a day gay, but technically late, kind of, because yes, it's not Friday when I normally stream, but this is the new streaming home time of the show. Whole new bounding into comics streaming shakeup. Trailers are out there. I gotta like link them into Discords and stuff, but yes, you'll be seeing me. Sorry for everybody who just heard it a second ago. Every 11 a.m., Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. You'll see me here on the Bounding channel, on my channel, on our Twitch, on our Kick, all that fun stuff. But hey, Corey, happy to have you. I don't know. When was the last time we hung out on like a Saturday and I didn't have to go like, man, do you have work in the morning? I'm so sorry. Tehillim says, I'm thinking the return of Amalgam will happen. I really, really hope so. But I know that there arises a major problem with it. And let me explain, because it's major and it's not major. For those of you who don't know, there used to be an artist who, like a very prominent industry artist named Gerard Jones. He did a lot of Batman. He did a couple Justice League things, I think. And he was one of the main artists for the JLX series over here for Amalgam, which was Justice League X-Men like mashed together. And then, that was Titans and the X-Men mashed together. And, he did a few other pieces here and there. Unfortunately, in like 2009, Mr. Jones got busted for possession of massive amounts of child abuse material. Funny fucking that, right? Like, and we're not just like, it is, I mean, there is no gradient, right? You either have it or you don't. I don't care. Obviously, if you have like 700 terabytes, you're a fucking like, what the fuck? But I'm not going to like treat the guy with one image any like less harsh as the guy with like a billion. But all that to say, Gerard didn't have like one or two, like it was hard drives of it. So he got kicked out of the industry. They actually, when they reprinted the Amalgam Omnibus earlier this year, right? Well, it was the DC Marvel Omnibus, which also had the Amalgam comic stuff in it. All of Gerard's stuff was left out of it because obviously, even if you used it, you would have to pay him a royalty. It does not matter if he's a convicted criminal. You either pay him or, depending on how the like case played out, his estate, somebody, an executor, something like that. So they straight up probably, or let me rephrase that. So with Jones's whole controversy and the fact that they would have to pay him royalties for things, the slight issue arises in that there are already amalgam characters that he worked on and he created that if we touched them, we'd have to give him credit, right? However, as we kind of just saw with the logo, or well, his name is the logo, the Logan Lobo like mashup, that like it's not out of the question for DC and Marvel to just make new mashups, because Logan and like Wolverine was already Dark Claw. Lobo was, I think he was a Lobo the Duck, right? He was mashed up with Howard. So on one hand, yes, I actually, after this book, I kind of feel like they want to do something with amalgam. I am into, if they don't, I could see Jones's just base involvement being the excuse, even if that's not the whole excuse. Like, there's not enough interest, we don't have the time. Just say Gerard. We don't want to associate with Gerard. Or I could see them, yeah, just kind of doing a new amalgam universe and maybe keeping like the major ones that they can, like Iron Lantern, Super Soldier, Spider-Boy, so on and so forth. Either way, I would shit my pants if it happens, right? Like I'm an amalgam sucker till the day I die. Okay, so Timon's got me with the colors here. Good, thanks. Yeah, because you could probably see I was like, what the hell are the colors? Because they always change. Like every other year, there's like they swap colors around. But according to the current colors, we've got red would be the Mind Stone with anger. Reality would be green with the Green Lanterns. The Power Stone would be yellow with Sinestro and the Fear Lanterns. The Space Stone. Oh, wait. Oh, I mixed that up. Hold on. The Reality Stone would go for Larfleeze as the Orange Lantern. Okay, I see that. The Space Manipulation Stone, the Space Stone, that goes to the Green Lanterns with Willpower. Time Stone goes blue. Yep, it goes to the fucking Blue Lantern Corps, and I can see how like Time and Hope, I see how that like works together. Soul Stone goes for the what do you call them? The Star Sapphires with their whole love basis. Dude, I'm getting really upset right now because this is all so fucking cool. We will never see, like, I feel this urge to draw this as like a fan comic. Like that's how fucking rad this shit, or even just like design Infinity Lanterns or something, right? Like those combos are just so good, Timon. And I know like that's coincidence. Like I know you didn't associate them. And like I said, the colors per stone rotate all the time. That's where we locked in. That's fucking cool. I really like that. I think that's really fucking cool. Yep, you can find me on the Bounding channel, Bounding Kick, Bounding Twitch, and then my own YouTube. And then someday when I get unlazy, I'll link my own Twitch over there for anybody who wants to use that platform. Again, it's all about giving you guys the options to use whatever platform you guys are most comfortable with. Some people like Twitch's interface, some people like Kick, some people like YouTube. Whatever. Maybe it's easier for you to watch something on Twitch when you're out and about than it is YouTube. Either way, we want to make sure we can get to you. All right, so back to Batman Deadpool. God damn it, Timon. That's such a cool idea. I'm like really upset about that. So, as I was saying, this book is like the exact opposite of Marvel's Deadpool Batman, which is both like heartening and absolutely like the biggest bummer, because like, yeah, okay, great. Our Batman Deadpool story is amazing. But I'm now sad that like all the other characters I was looking forward to like hanging out didn't really get anything to do, right? So obviously, massive spoilers for the issue. It's a one-shot, so if you picked it up, you've probably already read it. If not, and you kind of want surprises for yourself, which I highly recommend if you're at all interested in reading the book, like you probably log off now. I'll see you next week, or I'll see you Tuesday. And save this like the surprises for yourself. But all right, so the first story, it literally is like made for me, right? Because it is Grant Morrison teaming up with Dan fucking Mora for this story, right? And unlike Wells, I think you guys might have heard this, and I kind of, the way my flow was going, it would have been a much easier connection to make for everybody because the joke would have happened, closer in succession. But whereas I mentioned Wells doesn't really like get in. He's basic. He's kind of what you would expect from a big mass market crossover, which is disappointing to us comic fans. We'd want to see a little bit more history, a little bit more playing with the medium. That's exactly what Grant Morrison fucking does in this issue. Like, I don't know if I can be rational about this. I'm sure you guys I've already said like fucking as an adjective like 5 times, which is, yeah, I swear a lot, but even for me, like, I try to be good in making at least coherent sentences, and it's not coming through. Like, this was Grant Morrison and Dan Mora doing what they fucking do, right? Because, like, just this one page alone, we have Deadpool. He finds himself in a really weird, like, deep swimming pool fighting a bunch of cartoon, like, reality ninjas. Goes like, I have no idea what's going on. Makes it to the side, and he goes, 1 wall, 2 wall, 3 walls. Oh my God, I can see you. He's looking through the 4th wall, which, yes, he can do, but this is a direct callback to Grant Morrison's Animal Man series, which was one of, if not the first. I think Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk was doing like the 4th wall break a little bit before this, but in terms of like a serious story dealing like with a comic book character in a comic book, Animal Man was the first one. So we get this direct reference to that. And like, that to me is like, oh yeah, we're in for a good time. But then also there's this cool little panel here. Let me see. I'll just go to the big blow up layout we have. Let's see. What's the best way to, whoa, too far. Let's go, whoop, wrong way. That'll work. But if you see in that 3rd panel there, everybody, like each Marvel and DC character who is capable of breaking the 4th wall has signed this wall. And I just think it's like, that's the kind of shit I love, right? Like little homages, little Easter eggs. You've got Zatanna, you've got Animal Man, you've got Gwenpool, you've got Ambush Bug, you've got Loki, you've got She-Hulk, you've got, I forget who this is, and it keeps like, it's on the tip of my brain, but Rick, I think that's Rick Jones, but I'm not entirely positive. And then my favorite little Easter egg is right there on the top, Ultra Comics, which is part of Multiversity. I talked about it a couple of weeks back on my show on Good Mad Ugly, back when it was on my channel. It's one of my favorite experimentations with the like comic book medium, coming from Grant Morrison, of course. But that showed me, I mean, obviously it's Grant, so he's going to know his own creation, but I'm like, oh yeah, there we go. Grant's giving us everything. Like he knows what he's here to deliver. But aside from that, we eventually get Batman encountering Wade. They sort of are trying to figure out, like, where are we exactly? Like, we're in a weird room where everything keeps like changing, and oh, what is this, like amalgam comics room? Why is there a bunch of memorabilia about us? Yep, that you did see that, Shinkai. Which also, Shinkai, what up, buddy? Where was it? Yeah, Mr. Rekaj there. Oh, I gotta go back to the full. Yeah, Mr. Rekaj cross out Loki, because I think Mr. Rekaj is, I forget which storyline. It is the Joker, and I wish I could remember off the like top of my head like which specific time he does it. But yeah, that you got that was the Joker. So yeah, they're trying to kind of figure out like, where are we? What is going on? I don't understand this place. Where did we end up? And there's a lot of just good dialogue between these two, right? Like, yes, Deadpool is over talking, and then you have Batman being Batman. Like, one of my favorite exchanges is up there in panel 2, where Deadpool's like, can I say something? My incessant inane chatter usually drives men insane, but you're a tough gig. And Bats just goes, I fought crime alongside a hyperactive kid for years. My arch enemy is a murderous, disfigured clown. Have you been talking this whole time? Like, it's obviously Grant knows comic books. He knows these characters. Well, he knows Batman for having written him all those years during the Final Crisis era. And surprisingly, he only got the character of Deadpool based on the movie, like Deadpool and Wolverine specifically, which I'm just surprised at because it's Grant Morrison, Mr. I Love Comics. But it's also kind of funny that was the one he got it from, because I feel like that was Deadpool and Wolverine was the perfect, like we had finally refined all the expectations, all of his pop culture, like personality, his reputation, finally got like, it all started gelling together. Everybody understood what he was. Everybody knew how to play with him, and it was good. So I'm like, wow, Grant, you actually got like the one. I'll let it slide. It's not what I want to hear, but I'll let it slide. And so they continue to just, what is going on? I don't understand. And this is also like a really great part where they sort of realize like, oh, wherever we are, like we're being manipulated. Like it is a space that's actively being manipulated to mess with us. And so Batman realizes like, wait a second, you've been talking this whole time. You know who I am? Like, you know who Batman is? Like, I have no idea who you are. And Wade's like, yeah, of course. Like, don't worry about it. And so he goes like, you know Batman. He goes, I do. And another thing I know about Batman is he has like he's stronger than adamantium, like stronger than a locomotive, because Batman has plot armor. And so Bruce goes, all right, let's fucking test it out. And he stops and he just says like, bring it on. And he gets skewered by all the arrows that were being fired at him, like genuinely skewered. But of course, Batman just like, that's where he realizes like, it's not real. We're inside a mind of Deadpool. Like we've got to wake up. And that is when we discover that the villain of this one shot, kind of unsurprising considering the Deadpool Wolverine influence, Cassandra Nova, who is looking for the ultimate weapon. Like there's a weapon that I believe she sent Deadpool to get, she explains it like, right, I forget what it is, whatever. But either way, wrong button, not what I wanted to do. Oh my God, we're all over the place. Whoops, did not mean to go, be right back. But after discovering Cassandra Nova is the one manipulating them, Wade, he takes Batman, he throws him into a Lazarus pit, says, come on, like, you can't die. And as Astahillam was referencing, we get a full-on amalgam revival here with fucking Darkclaw popping up out of the Lazarus pit, right? The mashup of Deadpool or of Wolverine and Batman from the 90s amalgam series. Obviously, with the Lazarus pit taking its effect, they start brawling because he's kind of just, insane. We get Grant really playing with the comic book medium where it turns out they're in like a dollhouse. So then they're super small and they start fighting on a typewriter where they start using like the keys and the hammers to actually fight each other. But eventually they realize like Batman gets or Darkclaw gets his mind back and he goes, you know what? We don't have to worry about this. I have somebody who like never does what he's told. Damian pops up in the real world, starts beating the hell out of Cassandra just enough to get her distracted and pop Deadpool and Batman out of her like spell, her manipulation, if you will. And then this is where, so I'm reading this issue, and up until that point, I'm like, oh, this is actually like, it's fun. I like those little Easter eggs. Dan Morris killing it on the art. Batman dying because he thought he had plot armor. Pretty funny joke. Darkclaw, my man. Then we come, in comes Damian to Hillam right there. Like, which I didn't realize until like the last page. Like, oh yeah, duh. Grant Morrison made Damian. That's why he's here. But yeah, so I'm reading this, Darkclaw, having fun. All of a sudden, I turn this page and we start getting into the plot. And so the weapon I was telling you guys about was, how do I set this up? It's so cool. Like, this is so cool to me. So Batman and Deadpool investigate. They're like, oh, we're getting close to the source of whatever's going on. They see a mysterious figure kind of with a typewriter, like a keyboard, and he's typing out exactly what happens. Batman realizes that is the cosmic keyboard, which was an item, guys. As he says, he explains right here, it's an item that could rewrite reality with whatever the person types on it. And it was lost when a minor villain known as the Writer was killed during a disastrous Suicide Squad mission. What that is, so that there is a villain named the Writer. He was introduced in Animal Man, and he's the writer is Grant Morrison, right? Animal Man breaks reality, and he goes to meet his creator, who happens to be the writer, Grant Morrison, of the book. And he has this whole big diatribe of like, why are you doing this to me? Like, why are you making my life hell? And the writer just goes like, because you're a character. Like, that's what you are. I could make you hurt. I could make you happy. And at the end of the day, none of it really affects reality. Whole big diatribe. Definitely go read it. Love Animal Man. Love Grant Morrison. But the writer made 2 more appearances. They used him 1 more time in the Suicide Squad, where he went on a mission and he died. They literally just killed him off because it's like, okay, he's really powerful. What are we going to do here? It's a joke. I forget who wrote the issue, but I know that he wrote that as like a direct joke to Grant Morrison. He was like, hey, Grant, look what I did. And Grant was like, that's pretty hilarious. But out of nowhere, they bring that piece of like deep DC lore back, and actually, like, he doesn't say his name, but this time it's like, it's Grant. Like, it is absolutely admitting, like, he all but says his name, right? He's like, yeah, I'm the writer. He's putting all these hints. And so what we learn is that Cassandra sent Batman and Deadpool into this weird reality to try either of them to retrieve the cosmic keyboard, right? Because she wants it so that she can manipulate reality. And then she realizes, like, oh, you know what? I don't even need to get the keyboard myself. I can just manipulate you. She starts, manipulating Grant Morrison and going like, oh, I'll get you to write it for me. I get you to do all this. And then it's so great, guys. This is what I'm talking about, like playing with the medium of comic books. The writer goes like, yeah, I don't know if that's really going to work out for you. And Cassandra's like, what are you talking about? And he goes, did you just like appear out of nowhere here? And she went, yeah. And he went, you're out of ideas. You have writer's block. And Cassandra's like, what? You wrote me to be this way. He's like realizing that he did. And he's like, you know what happens when I get writer's block? And he, like, I love this. It's such a good joke where he just goes like, you know what happens when I don't have writer's block? And he mashes together Deadpool and Batman to make Deadbat, a new amalgam character. But it's like, the meta of it, where it's like, oh, what do you do when you're out of ideas? You mash together the 2 coolest characters from your company or whatever. Like, it just hits so right. Like, it gives me a pretentious chuckle. You know what I mean? And so yeah, from there, both of them sort of part ways. They realize like, okay, everything is going to separate out again. And they say, I'll check you later. And that is where that story ends. Again, you could probably tell all my fanboying over it. It was a great story. It makes me go like, yep, I love you, Grant. Like, that's why I love you. That's why I love you so much. But then we get into it, right? And okay, so we have 4 team ups in this book. Constantine and Doctor Strange, written by James Tynion, Joshua Williamson, and Scott Snyder, who you guys might know better as like the architects of the early New 52, Batman universe, and then things like Dark Knight's Metal, with art by Hayden Sherman, who is the Wonder Woman, the absolute Wonder Woman artist. We have Nightwing and Laura Kinney Wolverine teaming up from writer Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo, who recently they were the most recent or the previous team on Nightwing solo book. We have Harley Quinn and Hulk from Mariko Tamaki, but in a monkey spa moment. Art from the ever incredible Amanda Connor. Then we have a Static Shock and Miss Marvel little team up from Miss Marvel creator G. Willow Wilson and Static original artist Dennis Cowan. So on face, easily not as exciting of like a team up lineup as we saw out of the Marvel book, but still might be cool, right? Like you look at these and go, all right, might be cool. I saw what we did last time. Let's get into it. We get so with the Constantine one, with the Strange and Constantine one, I think the art is gorgeous. I'm iffy on like the actual. I wish Andrew was still here. Here's the better words for it, but like the way Sherman draws like faces and people and stuff, there's something about it that just doesn't jive with me. But everything else about Hayden's artwork, from its layout to like it, the way he's just able to use panels, he's so incredible. And I'm a gasp every time I open an Absolute Wonder Woman issue. But he opens this story with one of those. You can see in that pentagram. Oh, no worries, Andrew. Like, good to know you're still here. But that was just more of like an errant thought. Like, man, you know what this is. But hey, I'm still just happy you're around. But yeah, so Constantine Strange, we open with this really cool pentagram visual showing, communicating that the worlds of magic are overlapping. And so what we get is John goes to Strange going, I realized, we're the Sorcerer Supremes of our universes. What are we going to do? We got to fix this. And Strange, invites him in, starts working with them. We see that as a result of the crossing over, Ghost Rider has started fighting Swamp Thing out of nowhere. Pretty cool art, going on. I like this little bit where he's like, he drags Swamp Thing, but then Swamp Thing like grabs the bike with a vine that comes out of the ground, and then he turns into the vine. Like, I'd love to see that shit animated. Like, that would be really, really cool. But we eventually see that John is trying, he goes, Strange realizes, he's like, yeah, you came here and you're acting like we should be teaming up, but you're lying. I know that you're here because you think you've got to take it upon yourself, that you've got to destroy our universe. You've got to blah, blah, blah. And so Strange, or John, he's like, oh, I'm going to use the Eye of Agamotto. He cracks it open, takes a look at reality. We get another amazing Hayden Sherman splash, but which is really cool, guys, because if you see it, in this page, Strange is basically explaining to John, like, yes, things are all messed up now, but look, we're supposed to exist together. Like, we're supposed to be in harmony. And so on the left side of that page, you can see how it's all disjointed, and Ghost Rider is fighting Swamp Thing, and then I forget, is that Nero or Neron versus Mephisto? And then as the page goes, they slowly start separating, and you see like they become separate, and in the fights, like they're all like Swamp Thing, Ghost Rider, and the Devils. They're like, what? Where am I? Like, what happened? I was just fighting somebody. And that's kind of how it all gets solved. And they sort of end it with John learning a lesson of like, okay, they're like, I got cocky and I got rightfully, put in my place. And Doctor Strange also agreeing like, you're not a bad person. Maybe we should team up sometime. So like this story is probably the best one, but it's also a little underwhelming because it really just boils down to a conversation between the two of them, right? Like there's no real clashing. There's no like John using spells from the Bands of Cyrotac, and there's no like, I would have loved to see Doctor Strange randomly like cast a spell by speaking backwards, and John's like, what? I thought only one person could do it. He's like, this universe, I have like the technique is learnable or whatever, right? Like this is fun and this is good. It just doesn't feel like a headline entry into an anthology. This would have felt way more in place in like a Doctor Strange 100 or something like that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, 100. Maybe Strange needs to pass Constantine a cold one like he did with Thor. I mean, he probably would have had John not entered into the sanctum with obvious evil intent. He could probably read that, right? Next, we get into Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo's Nightwing Wolverine story. It's fine. The art's really good. I've never had a problem with Bruno Redondo's art. The story it's kind of just really, really basic. Gabby, another X-23 clone, has been kidnapped by Killer Croc, and they've got to rescue her. And so they team up, they fight, they admire each other, and they rescue Gabby, have some fun, hang out, talk, and we get a really awesome splash page of them like, we we realize we live in the shadows of like the those who are the best they are at what they do. So it's like art's really pretty, but again, it's nothing. They didn't really explore with anything, right? Like it just felt like, oh, here's Laura and Nightwing standing next to each other. At least this, like, Bruno, if you don't make this like a print on your website, you're messing out on easy money. And then what is there to really say about this bullshit? Again, I love Amanda Conner, both like her personality, her writing, and her art. I'm so sorry she had to get paired with Mariko Tamaki, because you know what we get from a Harley Hulk like crossover, which I'm not even the biggest fan of either of those characters, but I still think like you can do something. Show me, impress me. I'm ready to be impressed. We just get this random story about like the Hulk he's like chasing a bad guy and ends up like knocking a bunch of hot dogs into a toxic waste vat. And then him and Harley have to fight a bunch of like angry mutant hot dogs. I don't know. Like, I guess it's funny, but now like we've gone through like the great Grant Morrison story, really pretty cool Hayden Sherman, Tinian, Snyder, Williamson story, an okay-ish, like a very floundering Bruno or Tom Taylor one. And then just this, like, who, again, guys, like I have all people, right? Like I know the medium should be explored and there's audiences for all of this stuff. I'm not even necessarily opposed to like a goofy little Harley Quinn Hulk hot dog adventure. But it's like, this feels like you would do in the back of a Jeff comic, not, oh, we're doing a fucking crossover for the first time in 30 plus years, right? Like, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. I don't know if Hibiki's still around, but the Marvel side stories really represent like, these are the people who really want to like, they know what comic books are. They're trying to respect the medium. They love this medium. The DC one just feels like it's written, aside from the Grant Morrison story, like it's written for people who know about the characters. And that's about it. Right? Like that's not even what I wanted to say. It's like everything in the Marvel stories were like deep, right? Like you saw Ganthet and like dealing with Rocket, who he's still performing his duties, but he's like not doing them by the book. We got to see, you know, Captain America and like Wonder Woman subjecting Captain America to the lasso of truth in a moment of like real introspection. Here, these just feel like surface level engagements with the characters. You go, oh, you know this character, right? Do you want to see them? Just see them. Like, do you want to read something with them in it? Here you go. And it feels like, yeah, like I said, it's like the complete opposite. Main story takes a big swing, side stories don't. And it's a big, big bummer, right? And even this, guys, right? Like this one doesn't even make sense to me. This one is literally, so this is the static Miss Marvel crossover. And like, basically the plot is a giant monster erupts in Jersey City and both of them rush into action to save the day. And they go, oh, wow, there's another hero here. That's crazy. And they have this little moment of like, thanks for lending me a hand. I'll add you to the group chat. Like, no, you lent me a hand. Like, just a fun little like exchange there. And then they go, oh, monster's still alive. Let's team up to fight it. Which is again, guys, it's not bad. There's nothing wrong with it, I guess. It's just so underwhelming compared to like what you would want from something like this. Right? Like it's even with that Crypto Jeff story, it was 8 pages of silence pretty much, aside from like barking and like grunts from Jeff, but that was still like engaging. It let us see like a really interesting aspect that we wouldn't necessarily have considered about these crossovers, right? I think that's I think that right there, I think I just hit on it. In the Marvel series, like in Deadpool, Batman, the Marvel writers really like made you go like, yeah, we're in the same universe, but have you considered that this is how that might play out? And we got to actually see elements interact with each other, like a Green Lantern ring going to Rocket, or the Lasso of Truth being used on Captain America, or why am I like blanking on what the other stories were in that one? Either way, like you or in Jeff Crypto, seeing two superpowered animals play like a intercontinental like volleyball match where Crypto's actively like using his eye beams and stuff too. That's where we go, oh, duh, like yeah, they team up. I never really thought about that. Of course, that's genius. Like that's fucking cool. Here, it's like, okay, Miss Marvel and Static team up. Okay. Nightwing and Wolverine team up. Okay. Harley and Hulk admittedly, have a clash with like a cartoony comic book kind of thing with those radioactive hot dogs, but even then, that's not a crossover. Like both universes have the capability to go like, oh no, something fell in a vat of radiation or whatever, and it mutated. And then like same with the Doctor Strange Constantine one, where like they're there, but nobody really has to deal with anything, right? Like at worst, John just goes, oh, I have Agamotto's powerful, which like, okay, we know that, but it's not like Strange doesn't really like the Eye of Agamotto to Strange really is just like a fucking hammer, dude. Like it's just a tool to him. It's not necessarily like we don't see it doing a bunch of cool shit. It's never like the last point MacGuffin in a fight against like the Maker or something. It's just he uses it to see things, to open up his third eye. And so like, okay, John used it, sure, but it's not flashy. It doesn't really do much. It's not like it's something where, do you guys remember, well, I'm sure you don't because it's an awful series, but One World Under Doom, right? And Blood Hunt, that little like, well, so the section of like Blood Hunt to Spider-Man to 8 deaths, 8 lives or whatever, and then One World Under Doom, a big plot point is that, Strange was the Sorcerer Supreme, and during his time as the Sorcerer Supreme, he like, or so let me rephrase this. A big plot point is that, Strange is no longer the Sorcerer Supreme. He gives that up to Doctor Doom in Blood Hunt because Doom's like, I can stop the vampires, but you have to give me the power to do this. And Doom just keeps it. So one of the things we learn, because Doom starts ignoring his duties, is that even though we've never seen him do it, at all times, Strange is like constantly casting like little spells and like re-upkeeping spells to keep our dimension safe. Keep things like the Mindless Ones or Dormammu or Blackheart out of our reality, right? And when he's gone, things start going weird, and everybody goes, "Oh shit, that's right!" Like, oh, if I use the Crimson Bands of Cyratak, I'm gonna get Cyratak's attention, and that's bad. Like, do something like that. I would have loved to see John like, Bands of Cyratak, and then all of a sudden he's in like, where am I? And it's like, you don't understand Cyratak, baby. Like, let's fucking go. Something like that. But instead, it really is just like, what is that Bob's Burgers? Oh, here, like, I can find it. I can find it. No, go. Okay, I can't find it really fast, but the whole joke where it's like the one parent leans over to Bob and he's like, it's like, I forget her name, but it's Jean, and then like the girl who likes him but he finds annoying, but her dad is like a professional musician or something. Yeah, like a parent leans in, Jean and that girl are standing next to each other, and then a guy leans in to Bob and goes, don't they just make like the cutest couple? And he goes, they certainly are, standing next to each other. And that's literally like kind of what I got out of all these crossovers. And it's just a real bummer. You know what I mean? Because And it's also weird because it's like, if you took the Grant Morrison Mora story out of this and you put it in the other one, you'd have like one of the best comics of the year, like just hands down. Then yeah, like the other one, if you put Wells' story in here, it's gonna be pretty bad. Like it just in general, it would be pretty bad. So it's interesting that I don't know what happened. Did you need 2 issues of this? Did you need to do the dual thing? I don't really think so. I think you could have just done one. It's really, I saw Punk says, I like the DC Batman Deadpool one shot more than this one. Like I said, I'm torn because the Marvel one, which was the last one we got, this one was the one from DC Punk. The Marvel entry had the better anthology stories by far, but this one has way better of a main story. So I don't know. Maybe you should have done like Marvel, like Batman Deadpool for comic fans, and that's with all the good stories. And then you have for casual readers, where you have all the very light-hearted, we're just hanging out together stories. You know what I mean? Timon says, Harley and Howard the Duck would have been a better pairing. Honestly, like, even though she's very annoying, and I don't like a lot of what they've done to her character, Harley is in a kind of unique position where you really could have her play off of anybody. And if you have a good writer, you can do something amazing. Like, her teaming up with Hulk had a lot of potential. It's just he gave it to Mariko Tamaki, and what do you expect from the woman who wrote I Am Starfire? You know what I mean? But more to the point of what you're saying, Timon, I absolutely agree. Like, where's our funny character? Where's our logo of the duck? Yeah, like do more stuff like that, which I'm sure we will eventually get if, you know, everything holds true like Tehillim was guessing earlier, where I'm thinking the return of Amalgam will happen. Let's see. We can only hope. I mean, at the very, very least, like, guys, we got new Dan Mora Dark Claw artwork. Like, that's insane to me. I don't know, man. Look, in the span of a year, we had the out of nowhere publication of the DC Marvel omnibuses. We had the release of both of these crossovers, each of which features new Amalgam characters and old Amalgam characters. And then we got a facsimile release of Spider-Boy #1 earlier, like a couple months ago, which is like, that's a straight Amalgam comic. Like, it has the Amalgam Comics logo and everything. So we'll see. It could go either way. It stands to be seen. I really hope it happens, but I don't know, man. I don't want to be hurt anymore. I don't want to be hurt. Will they even keep Ben Reilly as the fusion for Connor? Like, that's really worrying to me. Do not, like, oh man, one fear. Oh yeah, you meant to say the Marvel one. No worries, Punk. No worries. I knew which one you were talking about. I was just correcting the publisher record. But let's see. We are at 240. I think this is probably a good area to stop. The Gundam story, maybe we can get into it on another stream or on one of the gaming streams later this week. Or, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just get into it right now. It is not that long of a story. It's not even really a story. It's more something that I want all of you guys to take with you, you know, going into your week of engaging in social media and, you know, hearing news, you know, choosing who to listen to and who to watch and who to, you know, get your information from. Again, I don't care if you have an opinion that is, you know, counter to mine, or I think is a wrong opinion. That's an opinion. But at the very least, you owe it to yourselves. And like all of us, we all should be operating on like the same material reality, like the same facts of things, right? So this is a lot of setup for, which window do we have open right now? It's Spawn still. All right, we'll go over to Spawn. Get rid of Spawn. Whoops. So last night yesterday, we got an update on the live action Mobile Suit Gundam movie that is being produced by Legendary, who does a bunch of Warner Brothers stuff, the Monsterverse, yada yada. You know them. They're pretty damn good. And starring Sydney Sweeney. I'm sure that's probably what everybody knows about this movie, because that was like the big headline, like Gundam and Sweeney. It just super popular thing and then like anime thing, it caused a temporary short circuit for a lot of people. I know. So the long and short of it is last night, Boris Kitt of the Hollywood Reporter learned from his insider sources that Noah Centineo is currently being engaged to star as the film's male lead. Noah Centineo, you might know him best as having played Atom Smasher in Black Adam. He is also on track to play Ken in the upcoming Street Fighter movie. And that the apparent plot of the film will be, quote, and I'll quote here because we have to, that's where this comes in. Boris Kitt wrote that sources, the two, so Sydney Sweeney and her male lead will be in the vein of Romeo and Juliet on opposite sides of a war between planets, or like two people on opposite sides of a war between planets who find a connection. Now, last night, I'm sure some of you guys probably saw this. A lot of, the dumber, dishonest people in our sphere were reacting with, oh my God, this is so woke. Oh my God, of course Hollywood's shitting all over anime. Oh, it's going to be another disaster. Blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm under no pretense. Like, this is probably going to be bad. Just given the track record of America with live action anime adaptations or manga adaptations, we've really only got a handful. We've got like Live, Die, Repeat. What is that? Edge of Tomorrow here. And then we've got like Battle Angel Alita. There's probably some other ones that are like, I'm not popping up, but that's, you guys can see that. Like I'm reaching, trying to dig for things to think like good Western Hollywood anime live action adaptations. God damn, that was a hell of a like descriptive sentence. But so no, what I'm about to tell you guys, like this is not to defend the film and go like, oh no, this is going to be great. Everybody should be excited. Keep your eyes like, be open to it because it's live action anime. We'll see if Hollywood pulls it off or not. That first little teaser they did back when it was still with Netflix and it was just like the RX-78 walking in fire. Even that looked low quality. Like that looked like an FMV from 2004. So I'm not here to defend the quality of this thing or tell you how to feel about it being made. But what I will point out is that anybody you see who starts going, oh, Gundam being a Romeo and Juliet story, that's fucking woke. You will, like, if that is their reaction, you will know it is they are 1,000% full of shit and do not know what they're talking about. Because first, like on base, ignoring the fact that like romance has played a massive part in pretty much every Gundam series, whether you're looking at Char and Lala in 79, Rain and Domon in G, what's her name? Nyan, Machu, and what's his name? Like Shoji? I always forget the guy's name from G-Cux, and then like Benager and the princess from Unicorn. Romance has always been like, it might not be like the central main plot of a given Gundam story, but it's always there. It's a major part of it, obviously, because Gundam it's about war. It's about and not just like the fighting of war, but like the humanity of war, the human experience of going to war, being a child soldier, all that sort of fun stuff. So ignoring even all that, there is specifically a Mobile Suit Gundam series that tells a Romeo and Juliet story about two fighters on opposite sides of the 1-year war, Zeon and Earth Federation, falling in love and trying to find a way to be together. For those of you who probably already, read the article or know what I'm talking about or saw this, yada, 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 it's 8th MS Team, right? 12-episode OVA. Surprisingly, one of the ones that American fans probably would have seen because they've ran this one on like Toonami a lot. I don't know why, but 8th MS Team was always on Toonami, even though it's only 12 episodes. But in 8th MS Team, the main guy, let's see, do I have them not in their costumes? Yeah, so the guy over there, Shiro, he is an Earth Federation pilot who, on his way to a new command posting, encounters like the battlefield remains of a Zeon like carrier and finds that the woman, Aina, I forget how to pronounce it nowadays, like she's a Zeon pilot, but she's still alive in there. And if he doesn't help her, like she's going to die in the vacuum of space. So he's like, you know what? You're a human. I'll help you. In meeting, they draw up this connection and they go like thank you so much. A couple months pass. The Aina's unit is fighting Shiro's unit. They don't know it until Shiro, in that picture right here, he's fighting Aina in her Zaku. He straight up is like, I got to stop this pilot. Like, this fight's going crazy. Like, kind of like forcibly docks the RX-79 onto the Zaku, runs up and is like ready to like fist fight the pilot and goes, holy shit, it's you. And from there, it becomes this whole tangled web of like, we love each other. It's technically treason for us to be together. Shiro even gets court-martialed because they find out about his relationship and they go, you're feeding, information to the enemy. And the entire series is really about them, like, how, like, dealing with their loyalties to their country, to their brothers and their sisters in arms, and also each other, right? Like, it is, of all the Gundam series, 8th MS Team it's a textbook Romeo and Juliet situation. Like, I guess not textbook because it's in space, but you guys know what the fuck I mean. So really, there's not a lot of news on the Mobile Suit Gundam movie. We also, those are only coming from Boris Kit's sources. He's normally pretty good. His sources are pretty good, but always keep in mind, until you hear like official confirmation from the studio or somebody else like directly involved with the film, this is all still, for all intents and purposes, a rumor. But yeah, guys, like, I really just wanted to hit this because save yourself some time, save yourself some anger, save yourself some, like, don't let these idiots make you unnecessarily angry. And I want you guys to see more and more in a helpful way. I'm not judging anybody. I think this is something we all need to be reminded of on a regular basis, myself included, is that we got to vet who we're listening to, right? We got to vet which talking head, which media sources, which pundit, because some of them they don't respect you. They're not treating you with the level of, I'll tell you the truth. You can handle the truth. You can make your own decisions about the truth. Yeah, sometimes it's not as if I make a video right now that says, oh, hey guys, don't be freaking out about the Romeo and Juliet Gundam situation, it's not going to pop off as hard as somebody who makes a video titled, holy shit, Hollywood fucking wokeified Gundam, right? Like, I understand that's the ecosystem we exist in, but that doesn't mean we have to be that ecosystem. You know what I mean? So basically, I raised this entire Gundam thing to just remind you guys, like, here's an example of something that if you see this specific reaction, you will automatically know that whoever is having it is full of shit. And again, I even clarified this in the article. This is not to ding, like, either fans who just never checked out 8th MS Team because they didn't, like, want to check it out because it wasn't up their alley, or new fans who just haven't gotten to it yet. I get that, man. Like, there's a lot of, like, tokusatsu stuff I still have to get to. But what will separate, like, the wheat from the chaff in terms of that is, like, what fans who are new or who haven't engaged with 8th MS Team are going, oh, is this something? And asking questions rather than just going, oh, I know what this is and it's bad, right? Because at the end of the day, guys, it's so bad out there. I know, but as somebody who's on that media side of both, like, the media and then, like, the content creator media, I know that, like, it doesn't do us any good to just continually keep ourselves in this self-deceiving bubble of everything is bad, everything's a conspiracy, everything's awful. Things can be good, and we should highlight the things when they're good, and we should call out the bad actors when they're acting bad. And yeah, I'll get personal here for a second. I hope you guys, for your sakes, when you see these individuals, you're able to make a decision about, okay, do they say things like this a lot? Are they rage baiting? How many times do I have to, like, look into what they said because they're bullshitting me? And just do better for yourselves, guys. And that's not even saying, like, come listen to me only. I'm sure I get shit wrong all the time. I know that. You guys know I won't shut up. You'll never have a proper discussion about something Hideo Kojima or Ben Reilly related with me. Like, of course. But it's for you guys. The key to happiness is reframing it. It sounds so Hallmark and lame, but it really is. I don't know. We'll get into it more as the show continues. I mean, that is kind of the entire point of GMU. Let's see. Oh yeah, I can't believe I didn't even say. Yeah, Hero and Relina was on. I meant to say them, and like I don't know why I skipped over them. Yep, absolutely. Gundam Seed with Kaguli and Atherin. Like, romance is Gundam. Like, just hands down. Even if you don't ascribe to this theory, guys, just look at the insane vitality, I guess, of the Char and Amuro ship, right? They're gay. They've never shown any real like romantic intent in there, but because Gundam plays on human emotions and romance is so much more complicated than just I like guy, right? Like there's brotherly romance, there's paternal, fraternal, paternal and maternal like there's so much of it, but that's part of being human, and that's what Gundam kind of gets. So if anybody tries to go, oh, Gundam woke because romance, I don't know, man. Throw a tomato at them. I don't know. I really don't know at this point. But either way, look out for yourselves, right? I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to sign off with here. Yeah, I think Andrew will sign us off here. He goes, the YouTuber mantra: never let facts get in the way of good rage bait, right? That's the status quo as it is, but hopefully over time I can do my little part to change that status quo, even if it's just one or two of you guys walking away from one of these streams going, you know what? I will ask questions the next time I see something that is super inflammatory that I would believe, and just, right? I don't know. It's optimism over here. Either way, I think, at this point, I'm just rambling. We got the Amalgam comics and we got Gundam out of the way. I think this is a really good spot to close out the very first Bounding into Comics edition of Good Mav Ugly. Guys, I'm so thankful for everyone who showed up throughout the stream, from Emily to Kenny to Hibiki to Timon to Andrew to Shinkai to Zero to Corey to Punk to, I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody. I know I said Corey. Oh, to Hillam, of course, to Hillam. I said Kenny. I said Hibiki. I think I got everybody who was actively chatting this afternoon. I also know that we had a lot more viewers than we're just chatting, and I saw you guys. I thank you just for hanging out. We couldn't do, as the Bounding into Comics site, we couldn't exist without you guys engaging with us, without reading us, without trusting us to give you your news. B, I couldn't do this stream if you guys, didn't do that, and also didn't actively, like I see this from everybody out there in the community all the time. If you guys actively didn't want better, I don't know. I don't even know where I was going with that one. That kind of just completely ruined my speech. Either way, really bad. I don't know. I have no sign off. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. It was kind of like a rough startup. I know I was like 30 minutes late, but we made it. The rest of the streams from here on out should be pretty smooth. Next stream, Monday, 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, Nerdigans goes live with weekly Weeb news. So if you're looking for updates regarding like news in the anime scene, drama in the anime scene, and then just like cool moments that happen in the week's releases, go check her out. If you want more of me, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, right here on the Bounding into Comics channels, 11 a.m. Mav streams. I'm just going to be gaming, hanging out for like an hour or two, give you guys another opportunity to come, vent, talk, all that sort of fun stuff. Thursday nights, foil variant. I believe that is sometime now. It's like 4:30? 4 Pacific time? I don't even remember at this point. Just go sub on the YouTube. It's there. Me and Andrew, Intellectually Honest Comic Book Talk. And then, guys, next Saturday, right back here, same Mav time, same Mav channel for another episode of The Good, The Mav, The Ugly. Where I want to hear from you. Want to help you guys, break down the week, find some cool shit to, make the week better. I don't know. I've really got to lock down this like sign off thing, don't I? All right. Until then, not gonna keep embarrassing myself. Oh, thanks, Hibiki. Yeah, my tattoo, my Chicago or my California flag there with the Chicago flag in there, because that's where my family and I are from, like those two specific states. And then Andrew, Shut up. We schedule it for 4, and then Andrew and I remember, oh yeah, we're friends and we haven't talked all week, and then it's like, oh shit, we should probably go live. But either way, check out all those shows. Check out Bounding into Comics every day for new news. Check us out on Twitter, Facebook, all the social medias, all the streaming channels. You know where it's at. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. And yeah, from your friendly neighborhood Bounding into Comics editor-in-chief, take it easy, and I will see y'all really soon.